Hey,
How are you today?
all righty. Can you hear me all right and everything?
I can hear you just fine. Can you hear me all right?
How are you today? Uh-oh, sorry. This is on me. Hold on a sec.
Boomer
What's
tech.
mistake? Uh-oh, sorry. This is on me. Hold on a sec.
Boomer tech for the win, baby. Hell yeah, brother.
This is on me. Hold on a sec.
We'll get there. It won't be pretty, but we'll get there.
Okay, cool. All right.
We are cool. I was just telling you. I don't know if you have Raccoon Mama in your comments, but she has got to be one of my most diehard fans. Does she comment on your videos?
Sorry, I always thought I had something else going up. Raccoon Mama? No. I don't think so. She commented in a response to me a comment I left on Mark's thing.
Every stream I'm on, every video I put up, I get at least one Raccoon Mama. I mean, she is rock solid. She's there for me, and I appreciate that level of attention. I love watching you do your comments and thank your subscribers for entertaining you with their comments.
Oh my God. I mean, it's fun because I like, well, now, especially with this, like the dude's got two choices. It's like if he leaves and goes if he leaves and goes away, cool. Then, he's a buzzkill. But if he stays, he just sent this other one that is so fucking ridiculous. I don't even actually, hold on. I do kind of want to, because it's so fucking. Well, no, we don't have. Never mind. I can do it on mine.
Let's do it. I've got.
You want to do it?
I've got alcohol, and you've got whatever you got going on.
Actually, yeah, I vapey mostly. No, I might step outside. I got the vape. Oh no, I got the vape. Okay, so this is from Eileen, right? So he said something like calling me a faggot, right? And I was like, obviously with all of this, I was like, oh, so now you're homophobic. Okay. And so then, wow, this is from him, PhD. Your insanity knows no bounds. You have twisted things so much since this started. You are so far behind that you believe you're ahead of what? Like I said, you changed your behavior. I criticize and I haven't read this whole thing yet. Even spend time with your kid online without being baked out of your mind. That's not totally wrong. I've already won. I don't understand. This is okay. I'll get to the part about the fact. Okay. If you are wrong, your stance crumbles. I don't know what he's talking about. You still need me. I gain nothing. Yeah, he said, you still need all caps, all of your stories about me to be true. I don't even have any stories about the guy. If you are wrong, your stance crumbles. I gain nothing here except saving an innocent life, which you love to gloss over how that's what made me comment. A useless vet claiming by simply driving he could snap so easily from PTSD. All I need is you to stop that nonsense and stay trying to be a good father to your kid. That's the score in real life. You stopped, you changed, and now I can walk away feeling fantastic. Least point of order, you social justice warrior Karen. Okay. I specifically called Merb a faggot because he calls himself that. And based on the dialogue I've had with him, only a libtard Karen who does not, in all caps, know Merb would get offended. You interview the guy and couldn't even grasp that. Shows how burnt your fucking brain is, I guess. You morose clown shoe. All right. I mean, all he's doing is just, well, now he's setting himself up to try and leave. Because he claimed he called the authorities on me.
The authorities.
Which I love. Oh yeah, ooh. All the authorities in your area have been alerted.
All of them. Oh my!
I know. I guess he took it from the page of Blue Bacon.
Have you ever seen Mr. Medicare?
I don't know who that is. Is that
Okay.
who that is?
No, he's internet famous on YouTube, and one of his like cardinal commandments is like, whatever you do on the internet, don't spurg out. If someone calls you names, don't lose it. Just laugh, relax. Yeah, Daddy Jim. That's right. Just roll with it. It's funny. Just everything is funny. Nothing's personal on the internet. If you're calling me names, that means you're twisted, not me.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't have a problem with like oh yeah, I fucking cock big longer balls. What was I gonna say? I just think it's none of it is insulting. I mean, I look, there are times when I'm reading it, if I'm in a certain state, I'm like, oh fuck this motherfucker. But like, really, then if I get to there, I mean, look, I learned my lesson from before, from when I fucking cannonballed into the scene. You know, I'm like, man, I'm not letting myself get worked up about any of this shit at all. You know, I don't know. It's not worth it.
So speaking of getting worked up, you had expressed in your initial contact with me that you wanted to go over the, in air quotes, debate that I had.
Oh, did I? Oh, I forgot if I mean, I figured, yeah, that's cool. I mean, once you said that, then I was like, oh yeah, cool. That's actually going to be a good.
You have a fascination with stupid people. I do follow your channel, and you put up videos about live streams with, I want to be very delicate with how I phrase this, special needs people who spend hours doing special needs things. And I don't understand how you could do that. Can you explain your deep and abiding affection for the less than intelligent among us?
For the smart impaired. I keep forgetting there's actual live, like there's chats and shit too. I'm not looking at those, so if anybody, but okay, so I have two. I mean, first and foremost, smart people is what I'd rather be around any day of the week. Like that is way more interesting to me. But the problem is there's far more stupid people. And so I'm fascinated, not like, oh man, you made a different decision than me. I'm like, what in the fuck kind of please be fair to Mark. Leave Mark alone.
I've got so many of those.
Oh, I got Kate, by the way, still hit me up. I still want to smoke. Yeah, here's where I got fascinated with it is I was I got to stop looking at these fucking things.
Sorry.
No. It's not. I'm just not used to it, and I'm easily distracted. So I was at a house party with a coworker of mine at the time. A new office was in, and we were all Intel people, right? And she was having this party. I liked her, but I was telling my buddy who was in the office too. I was like, I don't really want to go. It's with a bunch of fucking nerds, man. You know, I work with these dorks all day. I mean, analysts are fine, you know, but they can be a little bit much. And so he's like, oh no, her husband's a grunt. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And I knew he was in the area of like the exact same area of Baghdad, like right after I was. So I thought, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I can go shoot the shit with him, man. And he starts telling me lies. I mean, gross. How in the world would anybody think they were true, let alone he may not know my whole background, but I work with his wife. So I'm military intel, and you know, he's got to know something. And he's just straight up lying. And I I was wondering, does this dude care? Does he not care that he's lying? Or does he not care that he's lying to me? Or does he believe it? Like, what is happening? And so then he was talking about being homeschooled and then started in on the 4 great books or something. And I was like, oh. And then he started saying stuff like for real that he wanted to be a surgeon on a space shuttle. And yeah. And I was like, I had so much fun at that party talking to this dude because it went beyond, like it started with the lies, but I'm like, oh, well, yeah, dumb people don't pick up on cues a lot. That's what kind of makes them like, let's swing it back towards the Mark Stout thing. Let's use that as a segue. Like, this is kind of what he was saying. What my interpretation just overall with that was, he wasn't reading any cues of what was going on, and then just was getting frustrated. I want to smoke weed on the space shuttle too, man. I'm not getting up there anymore. But so go ahead. Sorry.
Let me give a little background about what happened pre-show. Number one, I want to point out that Kate is in the live chat. Kate, please don't strike me for playing this video. This is fair use commentary and criticism. Kate is very litigious, so you got to really throw it out there. Make sure she doesn't file a lawsuit on you. But before this, remember that I was going into this. Mark had called me out about my statement that you can't just assume
right.
a city hall is a limited public forum. So all the way up to this, I'm going in thinking that we're going to be talking about, is a city hall by default a limited public forum? My debate plan is very simple. I'm going to say cite a freaking case 1 that says all city halls are limited public forums. And then when he couldn't do it, then I'd be like, okay, well, you're dumb and you're wrong, and here's why. Now, when we get there, he's like, oh no, we've already gone through all this. We've gone our back and forth on all this. So I want to do a whole different thing. And I'm like, whatever, dude. Okay. You could just see that I am taking this whole thing very, very seriously. I'm sitting there in the half of my garage that I've converted into a fish room. I do not have pants on. I've had plenty of beer to make sure that I can handle. I do not handle stupid very well at all. It is the bane of my existence. Boring and stupid are the 2 things that I can't deal with.
Oh, boring, never. Stupid fascinates me because it's like a new way to see things that's just dumb. Like I always like people when I illuminate something new or a new perspective that I haven't looked at. That doesn't mean I agree or adopt every perspective that I come across, but I do like getting different people's perspective on shit. But and that's what stupid people, because I feel like intelligent people, I'm tracking on their perspective. You know what I'm saying? But like I'm like, I would have never ever thought of that as like, it would never have occurred to me with Mark. Like if I was in that shoot, like, first of all, you're saying, hey, I want an away game and I want to go up against Merck. Like, okay, so you have to go in for what that's gonna be. Even if he switched topics, I don't want to get too far off here, or we can delve in. But he tried to switch topics, but then he wouldn't switch topics. I mean, I think a lot of times with these things, first of all, I don't like debate and stuff like this, but I just wanted to see you kind of slice him up, and you did. Laughing at him was the fucking best. It was just the best. All right, so let's go. Okay,
let's get a little bit this roll. Just yell at me whenever you want me to stop.
Are we ready? Don't curse in the first 8 seconds. Apparently, so fuck it. I made it 6 seconds.
By the way, one thing: keep your eye on this one right here. True Yorker comes up with some of the best slams. One of them that got me just dying in here somewhere. I saw it. It was like he's hiding a half-court hairline. Oh, Half
Dude, that's good. That is good.
Piss myself. I'm sorry.
No,
Came up with some funny crap,
Jeez.
dude.
Her and Shiz. I really like her and Shiz. They're funny. I think they're funny.
Yeah, they stream on Shiz's channel every once in a while.
Yeah, I just started picking it up. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
All right, so we are doing this debate, I guess, is what we're doing here.
Mhm.
So I'll introduce you. I'm not going to be a part of this that much. I'm just here.
I also
we have fraud.
This is okay. I know he's going to get into it, so probably going to happen here. But this is one of the things where I like watching these guys kind of do their thing. Is this refusal? Like, why does it matter how I know what I know? That whole you know when they don't know. I'm talking about like guys like Mark or somebody who won't say their background. You know how he was being all cagey about his background. Like, why not just say, hey, I was A, B, C, and D. Yeah, I don't have a law license or anything, but this is how I came to my conclusions or whatever, or this is the way I came about my knowledge. I was in jail and I wanted to start studying the law and understanding the law. You know, just shit like that. A lot of these guys do that where it's like, what does it matter what my education and background is? Why is that relevant? Well, it's extremely relevant. But he does it a lot. And then you asking him to be in a notary public start. I was like, how can you not love dumb people? How can you not love that? I mean,
see, I'm sitting here and I'm seeing he's got these certificates behind him, and so they're important, right? You don't just put up things if they're not important. He has picked his background, right?
Yeah.
He's made conscious decisions, like the one turn backwards. You know, he's made conscious decisions, and so you could find out a lot about people by finding out why they're doing stuff. What are those back there?
Yeah.
And I swear to God, I honestly thought that that he had some paralegal certificate or something from jail. I did not know that. I did not know that he was just a notary public. But that's not here nor there.
But
because he's a notary public doesn't mean that he's not knowledgeable about something. But it does, you know, it's good to find out where people are coming from. That's what I asked about Blind Justice. That's what I asked about all sorts of people. I mean, if I'm going to interview, I'm going to find out where you're coming from so I can see where you're going.
Yeah, I think it's yeah. Well, plus I think it adds to the conversation. I mean, not like anytime you're doing one of these, you hit, like, here's my resume, but like, I think like, hey, I'm coming to this conclusion because of this. And either that means, hey, I like your opinion because I don't have like say this whole thing that we're talking about. Like I can talk in memorandums of agreement and kind of just general and sort of a practical application of what this shit means, who's in charge of what and that kind of thing. But I don't have a legal aspect. I had never looked the code up or anything because I never fucking had to. There was literally just no reason for me to ever know that kind of stuff. But sorry, go ahead.
There's not a lot of reason for most laypersons to know the intricacies behind First Amendment freedoms. I mean, does it really matter if it's a limited public forum or a non-public forum? What matters is, can the government restrict your right to film there or not? And it's going to boil down to reasonableness, really reasonableness, and reasonable and viewpoint neutral 99% of the time. Is it reasonable and is it viewpoint neutral? And reasonableness is very hard for an individual who's in the middle of it to understand. Like most people don't think that a cop has reasonable suspicion to detain them because they're there and they know what they know and they don't know what the cop knows. And the judge is going to have, you know, that there's a world of difference between the shouting and cursing and adrenaline rush of being accosted for filming someplace. There's a big difference between that world and the world of the judge's chamber, where it's quiet and it's serene and he's surrounded by law books and softly talking law clerks who are all calm and educated, and there's no threat of violence or anything like that. So So reasonable is a very hard thing to determine on the spot from a subjective viewpoint. It's a lot easier to do in an objective space in the quiet judge's chambers.
So well, and that's what I mean, and I get the push for, well, let's push the boundaries and establish. Okay, I get the general idea of, hey, yeah, okay, well, let's, instead of that being squishy, an auditor saying, no, let's make it concrete. And then now, if you make it concrete, now you're going to have to deal with statute. If it's a federal building, you're going to have to deal with all that stuff that you were saying. You got to go through different agencies depending on whatever. And, but it still, to me, just feels like, hey, common sense. If you're running around being a douche in a building, I just feel like, okay, is this First Amendment or, and so I was interested in seeing this because from a federal standpoint, this is why I really was, because I did watch Mark. I watched Mark before the debate to see what he was saying.
Okay.
And I came away after, whatever, the viewing of it, and I'm hung like a cold squirrel. And I didn't understand anything he said. I mean, it was a hodgepodge of nonsense, skipping down paragraph. It was more than piecemealing. It was like, I mean, to me, once I saw his research, then I was like, on his own, under no pressure, I was like, this dude's fucked. He doesn't know what he's talking about without anybody grilling him. And Murr's not gonna, I was like, and then once he started laughing, I was like, game over. This dude's just going nuts. He can't even say fair use or the public space.
What really got me going was he was like, when Kate was like, can you tell me like your credentials? Basically, he's like, I win against lawyers. Like, first of all, I just want to point out that I have one of Mark Stout's most ardent fans in my Discord who loves to post all sorts of Mark Stout paperwork that like oppositions by attorneys, judgments or rulings against Mark Stout. Loves to post those in there, and I read them and they're freaking hilarious. And Mark Stout has like no idea what he's doing. He just gets dunked on by attorneys. So when you say like I win against attorneys, I'm like, bro, I haven't seen it. I mean, if you've done it, great, but like all of these opinions that I've read, you've just gotten smashed like bad. But I guess you dunk on attorneys. There you go. There is a Alpha Fox Adam is in lust with Mark Stout's half court hairline.
Man, for me, if you debate a lawyer, I mean, I don't even ever like going into that kind of, because it makes you feel competition, but like with a lawyer, to me, it was like, well, you better know how to research and research fast. Because if something changes or you got to flex off of this, but there's still trees to or chains, sort of logic chains to go down. And then what I see in being a complete layman, I'm just saying from a logic and how I would research myself. It starts here and then it's like ping, and it's like, okay, I don't think that's right. And so I'm glad you put out the video though on the federal thing. That was actually weirdly interesting to me, just because
the FPS memo, the DHS 2018 DHS memo.
Yeah. So I pulled up, there's actually a 2022 thing I found that states the memorandum of agreement between DOJ and FPS and other federal agencies. And it, DOJ is within that, and it's all delegation. Now, it's weird because payment, technically you're leasing from the GSA. Hey, What's up, Kate? Technically, you're leasing from the GSA, but that agency has control of it. And so I pulled that up. And also, I wanted to be clear on what a memorandum of agreement between agencies actually meant. And it's a legally binding. You asked for this, we are giving you this. With those assets, you can do A, B, C, and D. And
so there wasn't nearly enough testosterone up here. So I decided to bring up a real man, a man's man.
Oh.
I am a man's man.
How you doing?
Bigger
Kate?
balls than me.
I don't know about that. I'm on my apology tour of 2023, the first one. I just want to openly apologize to the hundreds of people, it seems like, that are very offended that I was unfair to Mark Stout. I'll try to be better. I'll probably fail.
You know, what the problem is, you know why you were unfair to Mark Stout, Kate?
Because I didn't bring coloring books, maybe.
Because you didn't treat him like you treat Chili.
What do you mean?
See, with Chili, you're supposed to. Oh wait, hold on a second. No, you did that. Wait. Okay. No. Hold on a second. So with Chili, you call out. Wait. Hold on a second. With Chili, you don't give him it. Wait. No, I don't. Wait a minute. Now that I'm thinking about it, you did treat him exactly like you treat Chili.
No, I didn't.
Better.
Did I call him a quarter of a man at any point? No. Did I pull up his entire criminal record? No. Did I even? There was nothing. Like, I asked him some basic qualifying questions, and honestly, I feel like I was aiming them at both of you a lot of the time. He's just the only one that answered, which is fine. Like, I don't really care, but I genuinely, like, he threw out the word doctrine so many times that I was questioning my own understanding of the word and just wanted to clear it up.
He said,
honestly, I'm not even joking.
He said public forum doctrine so many times that I accidentally said it like once or twice after that. I'm like, get out of my head, Mark.
Oh, I didn't even know that wasn't a thing. To
him it is.
Yeah. So where well, just to go back instead of the law thing. Here was my favorite thing. Wham, you guys are frauditors. I was like, what in the fucking world have you been watching? In this corner of YouTube to think that Kate and Merb, I mean, maybe they don't know me at all, but to think that you two are frauditors. It's one of the funniest, stupidest things ever. But
it was a very strong false equivalency. It was a real straw man argument, right there. As soon as as I recall, it's not even like I said anything to him that could be construed as derogatory. I asked him a question. He stumbled over it and then was like, "You're just a frauditor supporter." Like, what does that mean? That's like me asking you, to define the word, unscrupulous, and you being like, "Well, I'm glad to see that you're a fan of eugenics." Like, what? Where do you get that from? I don't understand where that happened.
That is a very good analogy.
It was unfair for you to ask him questions, though, because he had his little script. He knew his little talking points, and if you got him off any of those, he was lost. Because I think during the conversation, he actually agreed with me on just about everything. Eventually, yes, no, and then he would try to change the subject, and we move on to a different thing. So
I was gonna. So the day before, when you guys put the premiere up for it, I thought it was that night, and I had eaten a bunch of shrooms, and I was like, "Oh man, do I want to watch this?" Because I watched you and Lauren De Laguna, and the way her face looks when you're tripping on the fucking screen I don't know if it was lighting and makeup. I was like, oh my God. It was I was having a great time. I don't remember a fucking thing you said. But yeah, so I thought, oh, maybe, but I'm glad it was the next day. I had a way more chill time without having that be part of my.
That would have been a tough watch on. Intoxicant. Honestly, I showed up to that stone cold sober, and I'm glad that I did, because it was. there were points when I could not follow along because he just would start pontificating, and like I just did not. I couldn't follow it. I just honestly couldn't follow it. I tried.
No. I feel like if I'm on your wavelength, like if Kate, if like any of these legal things, I'm not trying to blow sunshine up your ass, but I feel like when you're asking, like, hold on, I don't understand that. I always feel like, okay, good, I don't either. Like on any of it, you know, whenever it is. But with Mark, I could tell because now I feel a little bit more comfortable with a bunch of these public forum terms just from watching the YouTube shit. But then I was like, am I super fucking stoned because I don't understand a goddamn thing that was just said right there? But
he approaches everything like a prison lawyer. He gets jargon in his mind. I don't know if either of you are old enough to remember In Living Color. There was a character played by
I'm older than you.
There was a character played by one of the Wayans brothers who was a prison lawyer, and he'd say things like, "You have to flatipulate her vagina, her tajana, until she coagulates in her menstruous," and things like that.
It's a conspiracy. CON conspiracy. That was the one from that character I always remembered. Yeah, it was like, see, you got to look around. It's a conspiracy, brother. Conspiracy. CON conspiracy.
So that's what Mark is.
It did remind me.
He's figured out a little angle on a little thing, and he's latched onto it. Boy, every filming ordinance is the same. Every single one of them. Every city hall is the same. Every single one of them. He can't accept any deviation from it. And every use of a camera is frauditing, i.e., it's someone being loud, obnoxious, creating a scene, getting in people's faces. He completely can't account for a situation where there is someone who's going in like with a body cam. I asked him about it in the video somewhere in there, and he just completely went past it. Something surreptitious, or not surreptitious, but unobtrusive, you know, out in the open, but unobtrusive. He can't deal with it because they've got to be able to trespass you for it, because that's how it all works. It's all trespass.
Unless it's him at the DEA office. That's something that people glossed over too, that I was really, because I mean, I don't understand the law, right? And I understand that. I can pick up concepts as they're explained to me. Some of it I'll retain, a lot of it I won't, right? But I mean, I understand. I can hear what people are saying, even when the words might be different than what they're actually, you know, said. So what people are kind of glossing over in this whole thing, because he's a hero, because he's a reformed auditor, right, is that you brought up the DEA office case that he has going on, where he's appealing a trespass, correct? That's what behind it.
He was trespassed. My best understanding is he's actually suing for monetary damages in 1983 lawsuit.
Another one.
I could
Another one. Okay. No, that's what I mean. I found dozens at this point, so that will not surprise.
He's got like 7 that are still ongoing, right?
Right. Which is like a whole different issue. Because I'm saying, like, if I feel like this auditing thing is so damaging to society and it's illegal, and there's no, like, the first thing that I would do was drop these lawsuits so I wasn't draining the taxpayers in these different municipal offices. But that's just me. It's not for everybody, I guess. But you know, you referred to his recording of the DEA office as a mistake, and that was not a mistake. No. And he went on for probably about 5 to 7 minutes about how it was not a mistake, and, you know, he doesn't agree with you at all. And then finally, I think he kind of realized again that the words coming out of his mouth weren't necessarily cohesive with the image that he was trying to portray. So he rationalized it all away by one of the most bizarre things I've ever heard in my life, by going, well, if I lose, then great, I'll just hold it against the auditor or the frauditors later. Like,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Good plan. I like it. Bold strategy, Cotton.
He's actually a combination of a lot of the things that I really hate. I don't know if you remember CJ Grisham. My big issue with CJ Grisham is, like, if you got this winning plan to sue a judge, if you know how to do it, great. Let us know. Tell us how it's done. I mean, don't hide the ball. Let us know. And so many times people like CJ Grisham, when they don't know, when they don't have a plan, when they're just trying to string people along, like Earl Warden, like Mark Stout, Oh no, I can't tell you. I got to play hide the ball. And he was trying to do that with the DHS memo. I can't tell you. I can't give these auditors this information, this weapon. And then he's like, oh, it's okay to film federal agencies, but you're a frauditor. It's okay to film federal agencies, but you're a frauder if you film the post office. And I'm like, I can't even fathom what you just said there. The post office is it's federal. Like, what are you doing, bro?
And this is what I'm saying with the logic, where it's like you feel the start, and it's not just him. I mean, there's a few of these guys. He's just really, emphatic about it. He starts here, and then it like pings this way, like with the post office thing, and you're like, all right. In a crazy world, I see how you somehow made a connection between this and that, but that has zero relevance. That's like connection has zero relevance on any of this.
So, Kate, I would like to ask you a question. In the beginning of this, what was your plan as moderator? Were you planning on jumping in and sabotaging Mark Stout?
No, I honestly, my plan was I didn't even turn my camera on or bother to get dressed. Really, I wasn't anticipating having any involvement whatsoever. I felt at some points it was going off the rails, and I felt compelled to interject and be like, hey, let me ask a question and either get this back on. And then towards the end, I was like, I can't stay quiet anymore because it's not my nature. And this guy's an idiot. But it took me an hour and a half to really reach the determination that this guy's an idiot. I tried to keep an open mind.
It took you that long to figure out he's an idiot?
Well, to be fair, a bit. I mean, Merb started laughing at him because he said right from the giddy up, and when he said something immediately stupid, and then that, and Merb sees that weakness, and now he's laughing at him through the whole thing. And it's
that was entirely fair. I called you a douche, because it's true. That's all. Right. I even muted Merb at some points when he was the snickering was just.
Your little pet names for me are so cute. You can't hide your obvious attraction for me.
I can't.
No matter what you call me, I can feel it.
I mean, I don't know, but the word around the street is that I'm only attracted to douches. So just keep that in mind.
That's me. Exactly.
Hey, check out who's on the channel right now or on the live.
I feel like I was fair. I don't know. I didn't intend to I never felt like he was ganged up on. Nobody ever insulted him.
I thought he deserved to be laughed at. I didn't think he was being ganged up on. The way I really didn't I didn't want to leave it. His video that he put up, I went and I said something, and normally I wouldn't have, but I was like, this is, now I forget. Now I'm really high. Actually, after that, George, I forget what I was saying, but oh god damn it!
This is what we were hoping for. This is what we were hoping for.
This is where it goes. I didn't. Nah, never mind. I lost it now that
So, okay, so let's get going into it a little bit here, and we'll see what comes up.
Oh, so I do remember the point.
Legalize drugs.
Oh, sorry, you remember the point? Go ahead.
Oh, I was just like, hey, who the fuck said life is fair? This is YouTube, motherfucker. I don't understand what some grand misconception with what was going down. It wasn't like an ambush. Oh, this was the thing I was going to say. Yeah. So I went on there, looked at those comments, and holy shit, the conspiracy theories around this are mentally hilarious. This one was that Kate, I don't know if you heard this one, that for however the last year or whatever, for Schrodinger's cat, you've been long conning this debate to make Mark look bad. That I saw that and I was like, yeah, this isn't fucking Dynasty.
Because after I got a million freaking comments, you're so unfair. He's a really good guy and he's very knowledgeable. Or the most bizarre ones, Merb clearly doesn't know anything. How did we watch the same conversation unfold or what? But afterwards, I kind of was like, oh yeah, I knew he was legalized drugs, and it kind of connected with me. He's the guy that went around fucking suing people, right? So I'm like, yeah, just a reminder, last year, this guy threatened someone's family, filed a frivolous lawsuit, almost lost his channel for filing a bunch of ridiculous copyright claims that were false. Like, no, it's not chili, it's Mark Stout. Like, because I don't understand how people don't see the parallel there. Like, it's, but again, it's tribalism. And that's another thing that's been like terribly, not to take over this conversation, but it's been like ridiculous. The gaslighting involved with people being like, actually, you're being really tribal right now. Like, what? What? Because I usually have more of a lean towards not really loving the First Amendment auditing activities, but I'm not going to put someone on a pedestal just because they agree with my, with my feeling on that. Like, if you're an idiot, you're an idiot. If you're going around soliciting your unqualified legal advice to people, and potentially charging a fee or trying to get a fee, like, you're no better than chili. It's the same thing. Like, I don't care what side you're on. Like, that is the antithesis of tribalism. Like, what are you talking about?
It's weird to me, the hypocrisy through it. And I know just in general terms, there was, this has been talked about for a bit. And I think it kind of started with the blue bacon. I mean, I'm sure it was before that, but I mean, I feel like as far as I saw it kind of sort of take shape was that whole thing. But and I was just really, really fascinated with how immediately, I mean, I'd not take sides, but just be like, so, and then it just made me look at the larger hypocrisy through a lot of the community on both sides, and how I feel that people operate and how they collect money and how they do certain things, and that it all looks the same, and it becomes the self-licking ice cream cone that one can't have the other one, or can't really live without the other one, and they're both giving each other views, and I don't know, it's just such a but when people are like, you were mean, like, get the fuck out.
We bullied him. Didn't you hear that? We bullied him.
Yes, that was it. Bullied. I'm acting like I was there. I was just watching, and then I was more interested. Like, I was thinking, oh, Kate, I hope you jump in a little bit more, just to get a, like, let's kind of shake this out a bit. Where there's a little bit in there where it was him blowing up and Merb laughing at him, and I was like, I forgot what we're arguing about or what they're debating or whatever.
Are you guys familiar with Candace Owens?
Yeah.
Superficially.
She used to be a Democrat, but she figured out that on the Democrat side, she's just another black woman. So she went Republican, and all the Republicans say, oh my God, we've got a black woman who's on our side. She's amazing. She's the smartest thing ever. Oh my God. And so now she's like ultra rich.
Yeah.
I mean, that's Mark, except he's not as smart as Candace.
Well, it's really weird. Even again, outside of the debate, his vitriol towards auditors, whatever. I'm like, where is this even fucking coming from? Like, what is there this like?
I think he knows about their settlements. I think he knows they're making money and they're getting views and they're making a lot of cash, and he's not. Yeah. I think that's where it's coming from. But go ahead.
He's bitter. Much like Chili when he started to turn on all the frauditors, because he was going around and asking to give them legal advice and help them with lawsuits. And a lot of them were like, no, thanks. Like, I can fuck up my own case pro se, no problem. Like, I don't want to pay you to do that. And he got upset with that. And he was, kind of jilted by that. And then he develops this feud with Long Island Audits, Sean Reyes. I don't know that much about him yet, other than he seems to be universally reviled. Whatever. Me too.
What makes them reviled? Like, I don't really know I don't know the thing with like Long Island or whatever. I mean, I know with the pedo that just went to jail or whatever. I guess I can say that, right?
Earl.
Yeah, Earl. Yeah. I mean, so a lot of it, from my take at first, I was like, these auditors are the most hilarious, unintentionally hilarious shit ever. And they were filled with drug addicts, ex-felon, just people who you normally clearly have a problem having a regular job and doing stupid shit. And then some of them were doing, I do feel like some of them kind of do all right. But then I started feeling that hypocrisy made me start kind of looking at things in a little different light. Look, I mean, it's still all what I think it's what I said it is. It's this whole symbiotic kind of thing, that exists, and it needs each other. But I'm not gonna lie, my stance has mellowed a bit on the auditors, just kind of as a thing. But I know they have like some really terrible people in their ranks is the problem. I just don't know most people's backstory.
I don't think either side is completely blameless, and both sides make mistakes of the law. And sometimes the police are wrong. Sometimes the police are right. Sometimes the auditor's wrong. Sometimes the auditor's right. And the auditor side doesn't point out, they don't make a big deal out of it when they get charges that stick or when they lose lawsuits. And the anti-auditor or the anti-frauditor side, they don't make big news out of when the auditors win their lawsuits or when they get settlements or when the charges are dropped. So, neither side is 100% correct, but I would like to point out for all the anti-auditors out there who think that all of the auditors are just terrible people doing terrible things and they're all committing crimes and they're criminals. They are mostly not going to jail. They're mostly not. And they are getting settlements. Now, every case has settlement value. I want to be very clear about that. Just because you get a settlement doesn't mean you deserve one. A lot of times you're going to get costs of suit. You're going to get nuisance value, but they're getting them. And they're making money doing this stuff. And you might want to conform your understanding to reality instead of trying to force reality to conform to your understanding.
I think it's here, let me take another hit because I just learned about the universe right there.
Sorry, man.
No, dude, I'm laughing because it was great. No, you're absolutely right. Well, and that's what also confused me a bit about the whole community as both sides is like the auditors. I'm like, how in the fuck are you not getting that the way you act is atrocious? Like, it's just as a person in society, when you go and you do your fucking stupid shit running around causing trouble, how do you not understand exactly, what that is? But then on the same time, you're right. My big surprise is how often, like how little they go to jail. They get arrested. I mean, the only time it seems to me that they get arrested is when they start acting dickhead. Or am I wrong? I don't know. I don't follow it.
They get arrested a lot more frequently than they get charged. You could beat the rap, but you can't beat the ride, kind of thing. Yeah. It gets them out of the area. It gives everybody a chance to calm down. There's nothing really there to charge over, or it's just not worth the charge. And then they let them go. They've already basically paid the toll with the ride. But I remember when I first started doing videos, and my goal has always been, auditors seem to not know the law or understand it. They don't seem to understand why things are happening to them. And so my goal was to educate them. And before they figure out the law was generally speaking against them, they were watching me, and Earl was watching my channel. I guess he was always subscribed to me, but he was actually commenting on my channel at that time. And basically he told me that you've got to make noise. You've got to get their attention. In order to get the police interaction that you need, you have to make the noise, get the attention, and then you get the footage you want. Then you get the high tension stuff. And it's a fine line that you got to walk to get the interaction, but not go so far as to go to jail, because then you got to bail out, yada yada. So that's yeah. I think part of why they act the fool. Oh
no, I mean, I get that. And the truth is, it's hilarious, I think, when they turn to act a fool and they don't know where that line is yet. Like if they're newer or something, and they're just walking into something, and it's hilarious. And and they get stuttered because they have a couple of lines, that they know.
Yeah, it's very much Sobsit like. They believe they have magic words. If you watch Chili, he has magic words. If you know these 12 cases, these are the magic words. If you know what to say to the police, and if you say, you know, I'm a constitutional law scholar, and you explain these magic cases to them, and you tell them that they're violating your rights, that will magically stop them. You'll have power over them at that point. Except, like, if they were going to violate your rights, they're just going to violate your rights. You're not teaching them. They're not going to learn from you. So the magic words aren't magic words, and he's going to do the standard Sobsit thing where, oh, well, they didn't work for you. That means you just didn't do them right. Because look, it worked for me. So it's all Sobsittery.
Yeah. Well, and it's, for me, I 100% agree with the cop watch thing, and all of that. I think it's like, I'm like in. Yes, absolutely. Dude, I grew up in St. Louis. St. Louis cops. I mean, I was a white kid from an upper middle class neighborhood, and they beat the shit out of me. What do you think they were doing to the city black kid? You know what I mean? Like, they were heavy fucking handed. Ferguson showed a light on that, but so man, and Sicilian. I mean, I have no specific love for the cop, other than I have a ton of cops as friends or ex cops too. But so I'm all for it. Hey, yeah, film them doing their job. That's good to go. Like, get this. You know, don't walk up on their crime. But then it's like, walk up on their crime scene, start yelling. Who is that hippo kid that yells all those slurs and everything at everybody all the time? Cicero? Glenn? Is that his name?
Glenn Serio.
Serio, yeah.
Auditing USA. Memories.
Yes. Oh my God. Well, I came off Jeremy DeWitt right into Chili, and then that Glenn Serio kid too for a little bit. But I was like, this is insane. But then I'm watching all the videos too. So I'm like, well, I get it, I guess.
I remember it was at the time the guy that I used to stream with a lot, Mitch, and we found him. He had like maybe 200 subscribers at the time. It was like just nobody. And I remember watching the first interaction that he posted to his channel, which was Officer Jacoby, and he was getting some sort of traffic ticket, and he just keeps arguing with the police officers. He can't give him a ticket; it's illegal. Like, like Mark Stout would argue that everything is a limited public forum, and you're going to get trespassed, just like repeatedly. And then at some point, the cops like, all right, enough of this. Like, license and registration. He's like, I got to get out and go to the trunk of my car. It's a terrible thing to do. Like, why would you? Right. And then you would start to watch him more and more and realize, like, this motherfucker's always trying to get out of his car. Like, he wants to get shot. Apparently, that's just. I mean, I don't even know why he would do it like that. But he was something else. Like, yeah, but you don't see a lot of people like that anymore. I don't feel like. I mean, even Chili. Like, I've seen people be a much bigger piece of shit to the cops than Chili DeCastro ever has been. Really.
Yeah.
You ever seen Glenn Serio calling that officer the N-word?
Oh,
yeah.
No, that shit was heinous.
It was heinous, and that I think that was like maybe a 15-minute video that was part of a larger like hour and a half encounter.
Yeah.
That was just the kind of person to do that. I don't even.
Yeah, know. Special. Someone was asked if my cop friends beat me up too. I have been in quite a few fights with my friends. Fist fight. I mean, I was a Marine too, you know, so like, I'm trying to think of, I'm sure I fought one of them. I don't know. That sounds terrible that it's such a thing or I would fight, but yeah, I'm as high as PhD. Hey, go ahead.
So one of the things that did, Kate will probably remember this, after the conversation was over, I noted, before I received any feedback from anybody else, I noted to her that it was unfair. It was 2-on-1. And I know she disagrees with me on that, but appearances are appearances and perception is perception. And he not only had to compete with me laughing at him, but he had to compete with Kate's very well thought out, very well expressed questions and the way that she controlled him. Because Kate, you controlled him very well. You controlled him better than I anticipated. What you did was expert level. But in the beginning, you started off by essentially taking the piss out of him, taking the wind out of his sails by asking him about credentials, by asking him what background he has, what gives him the ability to opine the way he does. Was that thought out ahead of time, or was that like a last minute decision that you made?
That would be anything. No, I mean, it wasn't even really thought out. That was just any time that I've ever hosted any sort of discussion, because I'm calling it a debate. Is
debate.
Any sort of discussion, I always sort of ask that as sort of a setup so that people understand what they're watching. And you can take that two ways. It could either be I'm taking the wind out of your sails, or if you perform very well and have a very clear grasp of what you are speaking on, then it's more impressive, right? Like if you say, no, I don't have any formal education in law, I am not a practicing attorney, and then you're able to really show a very, commanding grasp of these legal concepts that you claimed. I mean, I took Mark Stout at face value. I think even before the debate started, that was his show. I asked him what kind of format he wanted, whether he wanted to have a more traditional debate with time limits and opening statements and rebuttals, or if he wanted to just have a conversation. He chose just to have a conversation. I've gotten some criticism about the format of the debate, but that ball was in his court. He presented some screenshot that he wanted to share. I obliged, right? Like, I did what I would do if anybody came on. I mean, did I have the impression from the jump that it was a waste of time because you're an idiot if you are, I don't mean to be derogatory in this or cast aspersions, but he self-proclaimed he has a 5th grade education, right? Okay, that's what he said. I don't know if that's true, but that's what he's saying. So if you have a 5th grade education and you believe that you are going to be able to debate a practicing attorney educated on matters of the law, I'm skeptical from the jump, and I wasn't sure what he was hoping to get out of it, but it doesn't mean that I came in like, yeah, let's ruin him. Like I was genuinely curious how it was going to go.
I was glad you asked, because I had just assumed he was a paralegal, same as I heard somebody say it before. I assumed he was paralegal, so I was just curious on that too. He didn't need to be a lawyer or anything. To me, it just, Merv and I were kind of talking about before, but it does help the audience. It does help inform your stance and then inform where you're coming from on it. Because then you can find middle ground. That's the other thing. He thought he was getting big dick, is what he took it as. But I think it would have been better if he would have just said, hey, nothing, but I'm really interested in this and I've been studying it a bunch. So then that way he's honest about where his mistakes are, and then he can get better understanding of it. But when you lie to yourself about what you are about it, you're never going to see your mistakes. But I thought it definitely would have been, I would have been more impressed. I mean, that's the thing that people who aren't quite credentialed in something always do. Like, well, let's just say I passed kindergarten. Let's just take that assumption. Oh, okay. So that means you have like 2 degrees less than me. Okay. Tracking. I get what that means. Whatever. But and also I only have 1 degree.
So there was a poll apparently, or a betting sheet on how many times I was going to call Mark Stout a retard, and I didn't call him a retard once. He didn't. I was trying to explain it to someone else. Like there's the expression that someone isn't even wrong, and the way Mark Stout is, if he said 2 + 2 = 3, I'd be like, okay, cool, you're wrong, right? But he's like 2 + 2 = purple. I'm like, and it was just hilarious to me. It was too funny for me to actually be like, you're a fucking retard, dude. It was just too funny. Like the whole time.
See, but you were asking,
saying I was faking it, and I totally wasn't, man. I was crying. I was literally crying on camera from laughing so hard.
See, that's okay. So when you were asking me earlier about why I'm fascinated with stupid people, so if somebody told me 2 + 2 was purple, that's when I'm like, oh, I want to see what else this motherfucker says. Like, if he thinks if that's how he's viewing the world, 2 + 2 is purple. Like, I want to know more. Like, not know more necessarily, because they're not like interesting per se, but they're just going to say something stupid all the time. I'm going to be a surgeon on a space shuttle. Kind of shit. You're like, oh, you don't even have an associate associate's degree yet? Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a good start. You know, you're 30.
Billy's about to take the bar exam, so if he can do it, then Mark Stout can do it, right?
If Chili was in Mark Stout's seat, though, people would have said that I went easy on Chili.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yes.
Yep.
They would.
100%.
And
I mean,
and you did you as far as like the if he was Chili, you would have been that would have been very easy on him. Because you weren't holding anything, you wouldn't hold anything back on Chili. You talk about the convictions and where'd the money go and all that other fun stuff. So do we want to actually watch any more of this particular video, or are we
you want to hit some highlights? I think people are asking to watch it. I mean, I'm
gonna play a little bit. Holler at me if you want me to stop.
Mark Stout, and we have Merb 34th Street.
Oh yeah,
formerly
34th Street represent.
Right. And I'm still kind of unsure as to the vision for this, but they wanted to do it, so I don't know.
We know everyone else knows what's going on. You'll probably pick up on something and get caught up here once we get discussing things.
So the onus of this is that you called for a debate with Mark.
See, that's so weird. Like everybody else knows what's going on, you'll get caught up, and you see me, I'm like, the fuck? Like I have no idea what the fuck he's talking about at that point.
Well, there was no, and again, just to take it as a breakdown of a debate that happened. Why would you start that way? I mean, first of all, it's wrong and it's off-putting. It's assuming way too much. Like, why would you not be like, hey, let's just establish this? Okay, we're cool on this, right? Okay, now let's go from here.
One would think that would be the way one would approach it, but that's not Mark Stout's game.
Yes, I asked him to have a discussion about this after I saw one of his videos where one of the statements, amongst others, he made a statement that you can't just call City Hall limited public forums. Like it's just not that easy. So my position is it is that easy. And so, but it started there.
See, and it started there, and that's why I'm like, yeah, it started there, but we haven't gotten past that point. You haven't conceded the point yet.
Yeah.
But now we discussed that back and forth. We make videos back and forth. We exchange arguments and positions. So all of that kind of brings us to where we begin the discussion today, which is with that super chat, and then we move into the Sheets case.
Okay, so I just wanted to establish before we get into things that this was per your request, right here. You called Merb out. Okay, so you called Merb out. You wanted to debate this.
I call him out, him as a person. It's
I get it. Yeah. You are flexing your intellectual superiority.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I get it. And so,
see that was a cutting remark by Kate, and he wasn't smart enough to pick it up. That's you see the look on my face there. That's where I'm like,
He's also, this is what I was saying. Why would you expect anything? What if you were Mark? Why you're going on Kate's channel to joust with Merb? Like, what? Why would you expect this would be, a comfy environment? Like you're asking to have it be kind of the fucking cockfight. So go, and then all of a sudden you're surprised when the other roosters like. Fighting? Is that a horrible example? People don't like animals fighting, but
I don't even really think I was fighting with them. I was asking him questions most of the time. I'm like, so what about this? He's like, I can't. You have to show me the case.
From a layman's standpoint, I was hoping there was I was waiting a little bit for a reestablishment of kind of like, this is the topic, like these exact things are what we are going over. Oh, that'd be my only. Yeah,
I certainly some deficits with I don't host a lot of debates because there's no such thing as a real debate on the internet. It's all IBS. It's IBS. That's what it is. It's IBS.
And it doesn't even seem to get.
How the fuck was I rude? Honestly, HK, I've seen you on my channel a lot. Like, I'm sorry. First of all, I'm generally like my baseline is pretty rude. I'm from Massachusetts. Okay, like literally, like we greet each other by calling each other cocksuckers. Like getting punched in the face is my love language. Just so that we're right on that. Okay, like seriously, I'm rude. Okay, but I wasn't overly rude. At no point did I turn around to Mark Stout and call him a fucking retard. Like if it was Chili or anyone else, that would have happened. I was respectful enough not like I don't see where like you're taking his like you're taking his narrative and just running with it. He feels ganged up on. Like I don't think that he was. Not really.
I didn't feel like he was ganged up on at all. And if he wasn't expecting rudeness like this HK person was saying, That's like saying, well, I didn't expect to get wet when I jumped in the fucking pool. I mean,
I feel like Mark was a little bit rude. He interrupted a lot and he called names, and he didn't seem to, he threw out accusations for no reason. I don't think that anyone, at one point he apologized to me, and I was genuinely like, no, don't even worry about it. Like, I think I was way more pleasant than I am with most people.
And I did not call him a retard once. Not even once. So he had to get to the beer locker. Oh, he was very anxious to get to the beer locker.
I just want to start off, so I introduced you by name anyway, just so that we can kind of so let's throw our qualifications on the table, really get the nutsack out there. So, I have none personally. What about you, Mark?
Okay, so my qualifications are this right here. On January 3rd, was that yesterday? 2 days ago, right? I just won in court against an attorney who passed the bar exam and who was licensed to practice in Florida, and I won on Zoom. And I'll bet you that he never saw those recordings. So that's who I am, and those are my credentials.
No, I get that. So, okay, so what I'm saying, like, so I'm assuming from that statement,
what
you're
does
not.
that even mean?
Well, okay, no, I'm not disputing that at all.
It's still fucking hilarious. It's
That's
still
my
fucking
credentials.
hilarious to me. I'm sorry. I'm not being a dick, but that's fucking funny as shit.
Well, and this is why I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like this dude just, I mean, a knife to a gunfight sort of scenario. How is that even? And then so what lawyers and about what? And then he said, oh, I bet they'll never show it.
He's got a vicious motion. So my best understanding of what happened was that there were 2 hearings set. One for where Mark Reyes was represented. So 2 lawsuits or something like that. One is where he was represented, and the attorney appeared on that. And then the second motion hearing was on one where he was not represented by an attorney. And so what Mark thinks is that the attorney got like so scared because the attorney, quote, lost the first hearing, which he didn't. Mark had a motion for sanctions, and no sanctions were awarded. So the attorney won. But then Mark's interpretation of it is that the judge was like, you want to stick around for the Stout Reyes ride? And the attorney was like, well, no, I don't want to represent him, but I'll watch. Like, of course the attorney's not going to represent him for that. He's not being paid to represent him for that. Like, and the attorney's not scared. Like, if I lose a motion, and I've lost a lot of motions, okay, I've lost the motion, and then you go on with your plan. It doesn't. This is my job, dude. Like, if a mechanic strips a nut or something like that, okay, I got to rethread it, whatever, and you keep moving. You don't. I'm not personally involved in these cases. Like, the attorney doesn't fucking care. He's getting paid either way. Like,
Yeah.
We're not going to cry.
I mean, it's got to be like it's fine. You're gotta be like a pit. I mean, in most jobs, you gotta be like a pitcher. Someone hits a home run, you gotta shake it. Boop, okay, hit. If you start worrying about that, that's what which is, I get the scorecards that some of these guys like him keep. I get it, because in that world of no other credentials, that gives cachet, I guess, a bit. Right. But it makes it weird, and smell smug in the camera.
I think it was I think that was a jab at Felipe, but I'm probably misunderstanding it.
No, I've been pretty good. I've been trying to look up more, make sure I'm not looking down. Otherwise,
you're trying to see if I really am not wearing pants, aren't you? That's why.
Well, I mean, it's an openly gay man. Vicious motion, yes.
it's not even like a pitching thing, because in a pitching thing, like, you're in control of everything. You're in control of the pitch. You know how fast you throw it. You know where you throw it. And if you don't do what you want to do, then that's bad. In a motion,
no. I would say this:
you're not in control of the facts. The facts are what the facts are. You put the best argument you've got on the line, and it might be a losing argument. You might go in knowing it's a losing argument, like.
But but to go with the baseball analogy, you require the umpire. So you got to frame that pitch, and you hope even if you make a mistake on it, maybe the slider, whatever, cuts through. I say I'm right. I agree with me.
Okay.
No, I'm just.
I'm just saying, like as far as actual qualifications go, I'm just trying to establish this here so that we
That's
got
one hell of a qualification, let me tell you.
But are you an attorney?
No.
Okay, law school.
I beat attorneys and I win against
Oh,
attorneys
I'm not disputing
in
that.
court.
Really,
So
really
to me,
not
it's almost like if I do that, what does the other stuff even matter? Because the whole point of having the other stuff is to be able to do exactly that. But if I don't need it,
Okay, no, I get it. No, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to establish this here. So when Merv's is done being a dick, Merv's going to ask you
I mean-
the qualifications.
and the name of the case is Zimmern v. Stout. If anybody, it's in the Circuit Court of Stafford County. If anybody wants to go check it out and go press Zimmern for the recordings.
Also, Stout's belief that the attorney recorded this, like, you've got to be a fucking idiot. No attorney is going to risk sanctions or his license just to record a motion hearing with a pro se litigant. They're not getting, like, you're fucking retarded, dude. See, now you're getting retards.
I don't know. This is like more, I would classify this honestly as like a delusion almost, because he had, I think the case might still be active. He actually sued a state representative because he is insisting that this state representative saw some less than complimentary YouTube videos that he had published on his channel. Legalized drugs with, I believe, 22,000 subscribers. So he believed that this woman was so threatened and upset by the videos that he had produced. I shouldn't say believe, he is insisting that she went to his house at 9 o'clock at night with a campaign aide and told the campaign aide in his presence that this guy is a liar. You can't believe anything that he says. He's out to get me. So this is the premise for a $40,000 lawsuit that he has filed pro se against this state representative. Now, you could say that's delusion. You could also point to the fact that prior to that, there was a Taylor Johns who he had convinced to file a lawsuit against the same state representative. He was warned in court that acting as her legal advisor would be akin to practicing law without a license. And then shortly thereafter, she dropped the lawsuit. Hers was for $40,000. And almost immediately, Mark Stout picked up his own $40,000 lawsuit against this state rep. So maybe he's delusional. Maybe he's telling the truth. And state rep was so incensed by his massive reach and incisive commentary that she showed up at his house at 9 o'clock at night with a campaign aide just to shit talk him in person. Or maybe he was upset that the case that he thought that he was going to generate income from didn't work out, and he just felt like he was going to opportunistically try to work his way into his own. I don't know. Sounds like Chili.
Alex, I'll take what is the number 2 for 500 on that. I will say this though. I lived in DC for about 8 years, and I wouldn't necessarily put it past a congressman. I know it's a state legislature. I'm also just making a joke, but being in the middle of all that was
one of my favorite expressions is falso in uno, falsus in omnibus. If you're lying about one thing, you're probably lying about other things. And Mark was a frauditor, and frauditor, the base word is fraud. And I don't understand why people think that he's made some huge earth-shattering decision to stop being a fraud. He just picked a different church to fraud from. It's like when you can think of thousands of instances outside of the political range, like where a convict becomes reformed, it becomes a televangelist, and preaches about their reformation so that they get all those wonderful tithes.
It's like every time that Chili DeCastro brags about turning another troll to the bright side, right? People inherently want to believe that their beliefs are so correct that with the right amount of pressure applied, people who are, just absolutely polarly opposite to it can be converted. And that just really like, look, we're so right that people are coming over here and switching sides, and they want to hold on to that. And they pick these, fucking messiahs here, totally unqualified. I don't believe that Mark Stout genuinely believes that frauditing is terrible, because I revert back to the very quick comment that was made about filming the DEA office being a mistake after he was trespassed, and his visceral reaction against even suggesting that wasn't a mistake at all. And if it was, great, because he's just used against the frauditors.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm a little bit confused about with him. What was him? He got trespassed at the DEA, at a DEA field office, I'm guessing, something like that.
I think him and somebody else went in there and made a scene. And,
I think it was his brother.
okay, and they were shouting about how they had the right to film in there and they were trespassed. Beyond that, I really don't know much. I'm sure that some of his fans, like we've got Mark Stout Exposed in the chat, and we've got other fans of his in the chat. So I'm sure that somebody will be able to inform us at some time. And yes, Blue Bacon, amazingly, he got a win against a default appearance or a non-appearance. So, I mean, legal genius at work there.
I'd love to get those out there so we
Okay,
can
yeah, no, we can do that. That's good. But,
a
okay.
lawyer, licensed practicing attorney who
But,
passed
but,
the bar
but
exam.
again, I'm just trying to establish this so that we know what
Yes,
we're
ma'am.
doing. You are not a licensed practicing
No, I am a
attorney.
pro se litigant, and that is
Pro se
it.
litigant. Okay, great. What about your education background?
I'm a fifth grader. Let's just assume that.
Well,
That
no,
makes
I'm
it worse.
not asking these questions to be
I know,
the way at
I'm
all.
not attacking you. I'm trolling the fraudsters watching. With my
I see.
answers, I'm definitely not.
All right, so Mark, your call.
So-
Just,
Before I jump into that, I see, is that a diploma behind you?
Hey, can you?
Looks like over your left shoulder.
looks like he's got a couple.
Sorry.
Well, I didn't. Again, Kate had made a great point that it would have been better if he would have just been, "Hey, this is where I'm at. This is where I'm coming from and studying." You know, like, and this, it would have been more impressive. But and why would that troll the frauditors? I didn't understand a lot of what was.
I think that what he was presenting at is sort of when Merv says that he's a first year family attorney, you know, sort of like, oh, they think I'm
Yeah.
dumb. So I mean, it's still unclear what his education level is, whether he really does have a fifth grade education. It doesn't really matter in terms of like,
It doesn't.
I certainly wasn't asking about, you know, grade school or even a high school diploma. Like, you know, it wouldn't necessarily be relevant. Maybe a high school diploma would, I don't know. And I think I qualified the question in there by explaining to him again more nicely than I would be. I'm not trying to offend you. This isn't a question to take a dig at you. This is just what we're establishing right now.
Yeah.
But because later on he comes back and decides that this didn't go the way that he is, now it's characterized as extremely adversarial. And no, I mean, I don't get offended if I apply for a job and people ask for my qualifications. I'm not like, why are you asking me that? Let's just assume I have a fifth grade education. Okay, give me the fucking job. Like that's crazy. Like,
Yeah. Well, and that's what I get with a lot of this other, just the information in general. Like, oh, I'm not giving you that. Like, I mean, I can understand a certain things, but yeah, it's like they're at. And again, I know a lot of it's a put on, it's an act with this. Like, oh, I don't have to give you. I do like it with police, with law enforcement. Actually, I do like that getting reestablished. Hey, I don't need to give you that information. Like, I think that kind of thing is good to go. But when they're starting in like to get into a VA, for example, like, I'm not going to give you that information. I mean, that's why in my fake audit I was like, man, I gave him my social security number and I got benefits. It's crazy. It's fucking, you know?
Your fake audit was awesome, by the way.
Look what they did.
Fail.
Yeah.
No paper towels. Fail.
Yeah. It's
Two things. Number one, I didn't. I minimized my experience because I didn't want to make it my experience versus his experience. That's why I'm like just first year family law attorney, whatever. But I'm fascinated. I didn't ask this during the conversation, but there's something back there wearing a hat, and I don't know what that is, and it was freaking me out the entire time.
Oh.
In the lower right corner. I have no idea
I'm
what
looking
that
at
is.
it. Oh, that's hilarious.
And then he's got like a shirt hanging up on the left-hand side behind the, I'm going to guess, gay pride flag.
No, it's a Mexican blanket. It's like
It's a Mexican blanket. Okay.
I almost said sriracha. It's a sarod, but right? Isn't that what it is?
I don't
like,
I don't know. But anyway, I'm just dying to know like whose face is that? Is that Mark? Does Mark have stuffed?
Is that Long
Thing
Island
is so
audit? Is that I think it says something of denial. I think doesn't that Long Island audit dude have like a manicured beard and shit? Like
I don't know. Is that also Long Island audit on the t-shirt?
oh no, that guy looks more like a blind justice type. And I don't mean but that look. You know what I mean? Fake. No.
All right.
Okay, he does have a pride flag that's up sometimes, right? I feel like he's got is the bottom? Yeah. Okay. It is two different things. I thought I saw a pride flag in there.
I don't know. Anyway,
It was, it's just that stoner. Anyway, go on. God damn that. Now that's freaking me out with
That's
the
no
mask.
isn't it weird? It was weird
Yeah.
and creeping me out the entire time.
Diploma. I mean, what is it?
You tell me.
I'm a no Republic for 4 years. That grants me the rights to do that. It's not a diploma, it's like a certificate.
And what are the other two that
Like,
you're
it's like a
displaying?
license or something. You said the one that's blank.
No, what are the other two that you're displaying over your other shoulder?
Thank
Top left is a letter from Laszlo Pinter, city attorney for Danbury, thanking me for my memo about the public forum doctrine. And then the one below that is a letter from the governor granting me all my rights back, my civil rights.
Okay.
So
When
the letter,
notary,
the letter, by the way, is just like, thank you for this letter. It looks like you spent a lot of time and energy on it.
when he said notary public, because it was not what I was expecting at all. Like, I thought it was going to be the paralegal thing. I thought it was going to be, I mean, when he said notary public, it just came out of left field. It instantly made me think of that It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia episode when Charlie became a notary public. I think that was, oh no, I'm sorry. It was Taco from The League. You ever watch the show The League?
I don't watch TV. I'm sorry.
No,
I'm terrible. I'm a terrible person. West Texas Gig asks, Kate, why did you let Merb constantly get interrupted during the debate? You're cute, but suck at moderating. Oh, but you suck and moderating. I guess she's busy right now. All right, so we'll continue on.
And then the one flip over,
Uh-huh.
Nobody can never see that. There's a lot of power in that piece of paper right there.
Power in a piece of paper. Well, I'm curious what kind of piece of paper is it?
It's nothing you haven't achieved.
I'm sorry to keep talking so quickly, but and for eating ice on the mic. Oh, I'm kind of forget where we're doing this. What would that piece of paper be?
So that apparently is a settlement with a non-disclosure agreement. So
why would it be
proud.
framed?
So you would talk about it, so that you would know
true.
it's there, so that he could say he could play his little game. That's why.
Yeah.
As Hemming points out, that's an "I love me" wall.
Yeah, which is a not very impressive "I love me" wall. He'd be a dick, but
Well, I mean, like, it is kind of dickish. I mean, like, the dude's had not so great a life.
Yeah.
And, he's got to take his W's where he can get them. And, if you have a fifth grade background, you would be proud that you got your rights restored. You'd be proud that you became a notary public, because there's actually a test that you, at least in California, there's actually a test you have to take to become a notary, and you have to study for it. And I mean, I don't want to take that away from him. Okay. Like, I don't want to be that big of a dick.
Would not acknowledge as much, but
I would love to acknowledge it.
Well, I can't, and I can't share it. I really can't.
What? Why?
I don't, because I
Is it
can't.
top secret?
No, but there's non-disclosure agreements involved. But the document involves a case regarding a specific civil case.
So it's a settlement.
Yeah.
So it's a settlement. So you have a settlement agreement in there.
Well, I trust one Galt, and probably his sister settlement. Yeah. I mean, if it was the sister settlement that was negotiated by Stout pro se litigants, then I guess he could take credit for it, because he literally has a letterhead: Stout pro se litigants. And that's what he sends his amazing legal research that cites cases from every circuit to various places to try to convince them that they need to make anti-filming ordinances.
Yeah, it's a weird.
That's super cool. I'm really proud of you for getting a settlement.
Sorry about that. Go ahead.
No worries. I was just saying it's a weird endeavor to me to have that much effort to make anti-filming. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it doesn't actually. Everybody has to look through things through their own lenses, and so when I try to place myself in his shoes, and I see that I am a failure at auditing, a lot of people, when they're failing at something and they see other people succeeding or appearing to succeed, they want to flip over the table. They want to smash it and not let anybody else play the game. So that, in my head, is where he's at, because he's probably a fifth grade mentality. He's probably stunted somewhere in there, and emotionally as well as mentally. And I'm not trying to be a dick to him, but that's kind of where.
Well, they see these guys that are like him, that are really that law focused, they try and it's like they see you and the other lawyers as protectors of the badge. And I don't mean police badge to military badge, we used to call it. It's like once you get into something, now you protect, now nobody else is good enough to get it, kind of thing. So you have badges on your uniform. But they see you as it feels like they see you as some kind of barrier. And so they feel this need to get, I don't know why they think like certain people on YouTube are a barrier when you're not in law school, or, I feel like there's a lot of other barriers. I think if you really want to get into law, that you should probably think about. I don't know if that makes sense.
So when you're the issue is that when you're not smart enough to know, you don't know what you don't know. And Kate pointed that out, and it's very accurate. I think it was like Donald Rumsfeld who said it. There's like known knowns, there's known unknowns, and there are unknown unknowns. And Mark Stout's life is probably a huge series of unknown unknowns. He doesn't know enough to know what he doesn't know. He's at the peak of Mount Dunning-Kruger, and it's a problem for him. And so he sees me up there just reading cases, and why can't I do that? Why can't I? Well, I'm not saying that he's like seeing me do it, but he's seeing people do that.
No, yeah, I get you. I'm tracking.
I could read these cases.
Yeah.
I could pick out the things that help me. And he doesn't understand all the other little bits that go into it, the background. Like there's a reason why they give you the classes they give you first year of law school. And they do that to drum in like the basics. And you've got to know like how all the little parts start to fit together, so that when you get a new piece, then you can say, okay, this is how everything works. So I could plug the new piece in somewhere.
And understand the foundation of the building block, because the way, at least from the way when I see yours, and the way you explain it, I feel like, oh, okay, I'm seeing it a little different just because I'm seeing building blocks and I'm seeing it go up. Because I would sort of think of it before as like, okay, here's this, and then everything down. But now, just in the research, I mean, it just not even in legal, but just in a way that that you look at it and do it. It's helped me. Or I don't know, but it's given me a perspective of seeing the law as each thing is sort of building blocks upon each other to that whatever, and then.
And Jared Boston wants to ask you out, Kate, just in case you have some free time. Okay.
You just got to be able to put up with the fact that I'm going to eat all the bread rolls and then stuff the silverware in my purse.
Well, I mean, if you didn't, then you wouldn't be you.
Right.
I mean, I've never seen him do this before.
I'm not here. I honestly didn't expect to be questioned about my credit. I wasn't going to just volunteer that information just to troll people, but
You got on your wall. I mean, that must be important to you.
It's a background, okay? I mean,
I get it. I'm just trying to establish qualifications so that we have a good.
he has more than me. I mean, he's a lawyer.
Well, I was going to ask him so he could put it out there, as far as
You want me to put it out there, Kate?
if you're comfortable with it, unless it's top secret.
Tell the people who are backstage.
Oh, I'm not wearing pants. Yeah, absolutely.
It really frustrates me, Kate, when I'm trying to flirt with you and you ignore it. Just putting that out there.
I only have eyes for Jared Boston now.
Is there anything else you want me to put out there, Kate?
Yeah.
You want to prove it?
I'm completely new right now.
Well, I'm just a first-year family law attorney. I don't know nothing, and I'm here to get schooled. I'm here to get G-checked. G-check me, big boy. Let's see what you got.
All right, you ready? Pull that string up.
All right, so yes, let me share
Pull
this.
it up.
Okay, so is Shiki City of Punta Gorda an injunction?
Is it an injunction? It is.
And if it's not, is it case law?
Well, that was just such a stupid question. You see me trying to wrap my mind around: is it an injunction or is it case law? It's an opinion.
It would, yeah. I mean, again, I'm not any smarter than him really on any of this stuff. He's more knowledgeable than me, but when you just start with those things, it's like, man, you're not even using the right verbiage. But you're using this stuff as if it's, like I use wrong language all the time, and I know I'm using wrong language. I'm saying like, hey, I don't know what that's called, but it's, whatever. Maybe I'm not even saying that. It's like, duh. And sticking with it. It feels an insecurity to get even, point it out. I don't understand that attitude.
I honestly think he was actually expecting me to just say, no, it's not an injunction. Yes, it's case law. Just, oh, it's that simple. And here you go. I really think he thought that was like a gimme right there.
Because if we can't determine whether it's a source of authority or not, we can't even begin a discussion with this case. And this is what the whole discussion was. It arose out of the Sheets case, right? So do you agree with me that Sheets is case law? It's definitely not an injunction, right? We know the difference between a court opinion and an injunction, right?
But do you want me to answer? Or you just like,
yeah.
Okay, so courts sometimes order injunctions. So an order can be an injunction. I believe that Sheets versus the City of Punta Gorda was a ruling on a preliminary injunction. That's my
injunction.
No, that the order that would be the.
That's a good point. So there's a difference between a preliminary injunction and an injunction. And the standard that you have to go through to get the preliminary injunction is different than the injunction you'd actually get after a trial. So, I mean, it's words like it's like in the medical field, people understand that words have specific meanings. You don't just say, he's got a boo-boo, you got to actually say what exactly happened. What part of you is injured in what way and how, and what specific treatments, and there's specific language for these specific treatments. And he doesn't understand the base definitions of the words as far as they're used in the practice of law
and how they communicate. When you don't have that, just that foundation at all, then you don't understand the spirit, because there's no nuance whatsoever in anything he's saying. And again, not as somebody who likes law. Before I got into the Intel stuff, I actually wanted to be a JAG officer because I did a enlisted officer.
A jag-off? You wanted to be a jag-off? Yeah.
As a closeted gay man. No. I call myself gaff off. I'm not. Or am I? So salacious. Hello, baby.
You need to pass a little bit of that to Kate. I think she needs a joke or two.
You know what it is? I can't go to the dispensary right now because I don't have I let my ID expire on my birthday.
Oh no!
No, it's been painful.
You don't have a plug?
I don't actually. I'm too old for all that.
I know. I just moved well, I'm Charlottesville. I say it all the time, but where I just moved, I don't know. It's legal, but right. The two closest dispensaries are an hour each way. Or an hour away. And so I had a plug like kind of right off the bat, just sort of weirdly getting it cheaper and in bulk and stuff. And then something he moved or some shit. Anyway, I came back after Christmas and I'm like, oh my God, I don't have anybody. So now I'm just kind of like hanging out. I'm eating dinner. I'm like, oh yeah, no, I kind of moved back. Anybody know where I can buy weed? A black market. They're like, how do you not think you look like a cop?
Right.
And I'm like, oh yeah, that's where I find my oldness about it, because right when I came out of government and stuff, I didn't need the clearance and all that shit, so it became legal in DC, and anyway, so yeah, that
the only drugs I take are the little blue pills.
Me too.
For fucking dudes.
That would be the order denying preliminary injunction. That is my understanding. But the second part of your question is it case law? It's not.
It's published opinion, right, or not?
But there's two things. You're conflating a court's opinion with case law.
Is Sheets case law or is it not? I mean,
I keep trying to answer you, but it's a nuanced thing. You can't just throw out. Is it precedent? No.
That's what I asked. I didn't ask how strong, how on its most basic.
Like, to say something is case law, like what? I don't understand what that means. Like when you're looking for case law, you're looking for case law that is precedent, or preferably, or persuasive. And just to say something is case law, is it an opinion? Sure. So it's technically case law. I mean, any opinion, published or not, is technically case law. I don't know what you're really trying to say.
So is that okay? I was gonna ask you that at some point. Now I got you here, but I was never really clear on that. Like, what is case law? Just anything published, and then there's different degrees of case law, like you were talking about, what's persuasive and what blah 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 and all that.
So when a judge makes an order, that's law. That's law. The judge has made an order. I mean, you have to follow it. There's contempt. There's a punishment if you don't do it. It has the force of law. So case law is anytime there's an order or an opinion that's rendered or a judgment. It's legally binding, at least on the participants. The real question is whether or not it's precedential or persuasive. And so that's what you're looking for. So him saying like, is it case law? Well, yeah, technically, I mean, sure, but like, I don't know. I don't understand where you're going with this or what you think it means.
I didn't feel like it was confusing me too. So
it was confusing me. I mean, there's a phenomenon that I run into from time to time where something like somebody will like do a motion or something like that, and there'll be the most picky-unish detail in it that you're like, this is wrong, and I know it's wrong, and I need to show it's wrong, but it's so simple. It's something that everybody knows. Like nobody would do this because everybody knows you can't do this, but they did it. And like, I need to show how wrong it is. And you try to find the statute that clearly says it, or the case that clearly says it, or whatever that clearly says it. And you're like, I can't find it because it's so stupid that no one would do it. So it's never made it anywhere to this point. And that's kind of what he does, is he says things that are so stupid and you're like, I don't know how to start off dealing with this.
Right.
And that's why there's that whole, like, I need to put this in order, get everything in line so I could actually explain what we're going wrong. And then he gets upset and frustrated that it's taking me too long. He tries to cut in or provide answers for me that aren't technically correct and expecting me to buy into them. And it's just problematic.
And I didn't feel like, I mean, I understand my bias in this too, but I'm trying to look at the sort of the thing. He was pretty, I mean, aggressive is not the right term, but he was punching. He was punching too. I didn't feel like, I just don't understand. I don't understand the whining about somebody being rude. I don't know. I just feel it's fucking gay as shit, man, when somebody does that crap. It just sounds weak. You just sound like a weak person. And, you know.
The problem is they can't say that he was right or that I was wrong, but they still need to stick up for him. And so where do you go? You can't say, oh, well, John, you were wrong. All right. So if I wasn't wrong, then what's the problem? Well, you're condescending.
Yeah.
You're rude. You teamed up with Kate, and Kate was mean to him, and she asked him questions that she expected answers to, and he couldn't answer them. And that's rude.
People put a lot of value in some things, and I don't get why. I mean, I don't mean to circle back on this. I don't understand why you can say why things have to be, oh, you like this person. Like, why that does not affect it affects how I handle my assessment of the situation, but it doesn't affect my assessment of what's going on, friend or no. Yeah, it's going to influence how I handle it if I decide to, whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, I definitely, personality wise, I like you better than Mark. So yeah, I get, but I can also objectively, I feel like, sit here and watch but you can't do that because you like so and so. Or when a lot of people like to do, I mean, I guess you guys probably get it too. Whenever they think you disagree with them or you do disagree with them, you're immediately fucking chilly or whatever. Like
I have been called chilly many times, actually. You've become just like chilly. Like, I don't feel like I don't have an overwhelming desire to litigate people that disagree with me. I don't want to dox everybody that upsets me or disagrees with me. I don't want to give out legal advice. I still feel like my qualifications are zero, same as when we started this. I don't feel like there's any real parallel between me and Chili DeCastro, except for both kind of dumb.
No.
Right? But that was the first. You've become just like Chili. Like, where are you getting that from?
So do both you guys, what do you think when someone says that? Do you think they believe that, like in their mind, that they're like, you've turned a chili? Or do you think it's being said to you as like them thinking that's an insult? They know that's the one person they can say it, and it's an insult just by
That's
name.
not the one person that would insult me the most, first of all, being compared to, because it's so off base that it doesn't quite connect. Like, you could pick some shitty people that I don't like that I have things in common with, and that would hit me harder. Just saying. But like I don't know, honestly. I feel like at some point that's just sort of the adjective that gets picked up, and now everything that I don't like is Chili De Castro, or everything that I don't like is Kate Peter. It's ridiculous.
I just always. What do you think, Merb? You think people believe it? Do you think there's a percentage that actually believe that?
I think that the three of us up here on this panel are probably, if we took IQ tests, I don't think any of us would be on the bottom half of the bell curve. I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm not trying to be presumptuous or arrogant or anything like that. I'm going to assume from my interactions with both of you that you're very intelligent people. And I'm not going to be coy. I'm a fairly intelligent person. I'm not stupid. I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but I'm not stupid. And because we're intelligent, we have the spare brain power to do things like to objectively as we can, evaluate things. And if you think about how stupid the average person is, you have to understand that half of the population is stupider than that. And they don't have the power to do things that you and I probably take for granted. And it sucks. It's unfortunate, but it's true. I saw a thing about a guy who worked in psychology in prison, and he did IQ tests, and he did some tests on inmates who tend to be below average. And he would ask them questions like, did you eat breakfast yesterday? And they'd say, yeah. Okay. Well, if you didn't eat breakfast yesterday, how hungry would you be at lunchtime yesterday? And they'd be like, well, but I did eat breakfast. I know. But if you didn't eat breakfast, how hungry would you be at lunchtime yesterday? No, but I ate breakfast. And they can't wrap their head around anything like that.
Yeah.
So humans are animals, and we need to make survival strategies. And so what I think most people do who don't have a lot of spare computing power going on is they put the world into two boxes, me or us and them. And in the cowboy movies, you had the white hats versus the black hats. In wrestling, you had the good wrestlers versus the bad wrestlers. People like sports ball because, it's our team versus their team. And no matter what, it's us, and you internalize it.
Yeah.
And it's a tribal thing. It probably goes back to survival strategies from before civilization, from when we were tribes roaming around.
Absolutely.
If you didn't back your team, you could get killed, eaten, kicked out. And, if you got kicked out of your tribe, you're probably going to die. Right. So there's a lot of that, and it's a very easy thing to fall back to. And so I would guess that most of the people that we see in our comments who are capable of thinking this way are falling back on that survival strategy. It's us and them. And if you're against me, if you're against us, someone on my side, then you must be with them, because there's only two camps. And that's my long-winded way of explaining it.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting.
I just can't. I can't subscribe to that. So I mean, I think I even started to kind of broach the subject, and then regrettably pulled back on it with Stout because I could feel he was getting more offended. I really didn't want to blow the guy up. But like, if I want to blow somebody up, you'll know it, because I don't shy away from that. I was just not like doing. But I had said something about legalized drugs and his experience with it, and he immediately took that as sort of a personal dig. The point that I was trying to make was that I feel like this gentleman probably does have valuable information and knowledge to share with the internet, but the law is not it. Like he has.
Well, and it's fascinating to me too that they don't, and I get it. It's fascinating to me that they don't understand that they're not at that level, or like why is it? I would have no problem saying I don't know as much as Merb on the law, whatever. I don't understand how that it becomes this thing, and then so it's like and then it becomes structured. So really, if you get into like the neurology of it all, the left side of your brain, like, is how you function in the world. Like, hey, it teaches you how to pick up this, manipulate matter, right? Make tools out of atoms and shit. And basically, and then your right brain teaches you about concepts, and it's how it talks to you, and it's the larger thing. So, easiest way to kind of put it is, your left brain teaches you what to eat and how to eat, and your right brain teaches you how not to get eaten. And when people are super left-brained, they think like Mark. I put Mark, somebody like him, in super left-brain because it's structured. How do I do this? There's no nuance with this because they lack a conceptual awareness. So then, whenever you say something like, "Hey, you're wrong about this law," it like explodes their shit. Or like if they had more conceptual ability, more of an emotional intelligence, basically, put with it, they would understand that, yeah, okay, well, I can be wrong with that and still move on here or what, like it's a hit. It's not a degradation to me. Wrong is like, oh, hey, unless it's bad or something, but like, no, okay, I understand that and I label it as wrong because I don't want to do that again. And then you kind of, and I'm stoked, so I'm rambling. We could keep going with this. I got into the neurology and the philosophy of neurological science and that kind of shit, and psychology.
Just cut in on him, Kate. Just cut in on him.
Oh my God, you gotta.
No,
yeah,
I try not to cut in. No, but that was actually one of the most interesting arguments that I saw in both my comments, and I caught it in Merb's as well, which was really flabbergasted me, was that we're assholes because Mark Stout is clearly intellectually delayed, and we were bullying him. And I was like, I am not going to make the presumption that man is actually literally retarded. I don't believe that to be true. I don't believe that to be true at all. So I don't think that it was mean to presume. Like, I took the guy at face value. I mean, mostly. I had an idea that it wasn't going to go great for him, but I had the impression from the way that he was sort of touting himself that he would have more of an understanding than he did. Okay, so I didn't go in going, this guy is an idiot and I'm going to bully him. I, again, was just kind of like confused as to what he thought he was going to gain from this. Like, I don't see what the net positive was in doing this. But I mean, I see what it is now, is that Merb is a fucking asshole. So this is actually probably strengthened Mark Stout's support because everybody is now gathering around the poor injured baby bird and reinforcing that, no, you're not an idiot. They made you look that way.
Yeah.
Sure. I apologize. Sorry.
I want to be very clear. If you were offended by anything I said about how half the population isn't smart enough to think outside of the white hat, black hat, you're on the bottom half of that bell curve. So do with that as you will. If you're offended, that's because you're dumb. So
I take offense to that. I'm stupid.
I'm not co-signing this. I feel like I'm on the lower end of things most of the time, like solidly average. So,
well,
it's your emotional intelligence. Like I was telling Merv one time, I was like, I wouldn't have Kate take my SATs necessarily. But
I would have Kate
1100
take
on my
SATs.
SATs. I just want to throw that out there. So a little bit above average at 1100.
Actually, that's the same. I got you.
All right, okay.
Yeah.
I would have Kate do my SATs. I see PhD, not to put you on the spot or anything, Kate. PhD thinks you're very emotionally intelligent, and I think that you're kind of emotionally retarded. I think you are actually intellectually very intelligent, and your emotional part is your weak side. But I guess PhD and I disagree.
Oh, well, here, this is interesting because I also like this kind of conversation when I'm high. So what I still would say that her emotional intelligence, she can read it. Sorry to talk about you like you're not right here in front of us, Kate. But
we're going to talk about her breasts next.
She can. Her intelligence isn't her decision making. Her intelligence comes from reading, rightly assessing people, and I mean, Kate, that kind of survivor shit you've had to go through teaches you very quickly how how to read friends and how to read enemies pretty quickly because you've been hurt so damn bad by it that it's like it teaches you. I mean, listen, I come from abuse, so this is what I'm. You get it. My mom, teaches you survival, taught me survival, and that's what it is. But your decision making, I agree. But I separate the decision making, I think, from what informs it. I think you have more of a fuck it attitude, and that influences your decisions more than your lack of understanding of the situation. Did I sound reasonably fucking coherent right there? Hell yeah.
But is it an injunction or is it case law?
That's right. Okay.
I also don't think that most people would have the intellectual capacity to have someone talk about them like I talk about Kate. And I think that's a sign of intelligence that you're able to separate the feelings from the actual words that come out of my mouth. So, I still think that Kate's very intelligent, despite what everybody else says, Kate, despite everybody else calling you a freaking moron and retard and all that other fun stuff.
Dumb as shit.
I still think you're intelligent.
Rock.
Rancid clam, I know.
Oh my God. I don't care how many times they call you.
I never listen to a word they say, Kate.
I know. I was like, boo them. Smart.
The court is unlikely to use it or to
15 Federal Supplement 3rd 1115. That's not a publication. That's not a citation to a publication.
Oh, okay. So if it has been published, then yes, then it would be persuasive.
I also want to point out that as soon as he said, "Oh, by the way, there is this," I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool. Well, let's go on with that then. That's fine." If you can't accept criticism in the law, if you can't accept that you're mistaken, then you're going to have a hard time in front of a judge, because the judge is going to be like, "Well, Mr. Rietveld, you're wrong. You're dumb and you're wrong, and here's why." Except he'll say it really nice, and they do that to Mark Stout too. He just doesn't pick it up when they do it. So you have to accept criticism. You have to accept when you're wrong. Integrate that information and move along with it.
Okay, that was my argument, but it's persuasive case law and it's not an injunction, right?
It is persuasive. It is persuasive. It is case law, and it is not an injunction. It is, I believe, a denial. If I remember correctly, I don't have it in front of me, so I can't really opine much more on it.
All right, no, all right, okay. So we agree on that. So let's pull up the sheet. Let's get this down. And how do I take this down?
I don't do tech support. I'm sorry.
I do stop screen and then share another screen.
This is exciting stuff.
Okay, and
All right, so
again, yeah, okay, there it goes. So again, me and Merv we've already pretty much thoroughly explored we discussed the limited public forums in the film. We've done that back and forth in videos on chats now.
I have to correct you. I have not watched any of your videos.
Okay,
all of my understanding is from comments that people have posted in my Discord, laughing at your comments in your community page.
Fair enough. So all that brings us to this. So that was about filming and the public forum doctrine and all of that. That brings us to the beginning of this discussion, because really, when we look at sheets, this discussion really has nothing to do with filming, but everything to do with property rights and access to property. And I want to start.
I disagree with your starting position.
Fair enough. And I'm just going to go ahead and cite the language that I'm saying supports my position. All right. Now, sheets starts off right here. All right. The government, like any private landowner, may preserve the property under its control for the use to which it is lawfully dedicated.
Adderley versus Florida, or Greer versus Spock, or Lee versus the International Society for Christian Consciousness. It's from one of those cases. I can't read what you have up there. I'm on my cell phone in my garage. I'm trying to.
It's from the Cornelius case. The U.S.
Cornelius, they use it in a bunch of cases.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the rational basis review start of the forum test. The forum test for rational basis review. Yes, I'm very familiar with it.
All right, and they begin the discussion with, likewise, a government workplace, like any place of employment, exists to accomplish the business of the employer. So my ultimate argument is this: it doesn't matter whether or not individuals are filming. It's not about that. Courts have established that. Remember, this is at Cornelius. Courts have clearly established that government building custodians may trespass individuals from government building property if that individual does not have business to conduct, and the building custodians determine what business is and isn't. And she goes into.
Did you raise your hand, PhD, or were you waving to me?
Sorry, I was waving at Michelle.
I know, she's adorable.
But that's the closest I think I understood of his sort of argument. But it has nothing to do with First Amendments. It has to do with the way he's even framing it, right? Even the way he's even framing the question. Like from the get, I mean, first of all, the blanket statement is just wrong. Every courthouse and everything what he was saying. That assumption is, I think, is just kind of. But is that his argument right there? Kind of the baseline for it.
So his argument is that the government can trespass frauditors because frauditors disrupt the government business and they're not there to conduct the government's business. So based on that, they could make a policy that allows them to trespass you if you're creating a disruption. And yeah, sure. But what he doesn't address, what the ordinance doesn't address, what Mark can't seem to wrap his head around, is what if you're not creating a disruption? What if all you're doing is filming? What if all you're doing is recording your interaction with the city clerk or with whoever you're there dealing with? And what about the cases like Ayacabuchi where filming takes place, regardless of any ordinances preventing it? In this particular case, with this particular set of facts, this is the conclusion we're going to come to, and that's great. But what do we learn from it? And that's what he can't do. He just this set of facts is a city hall and an ordinance against filming. That's it. So any city hall can have any ordinance against filming, and anytime anybody films and they catch you, I mean, even if you go away and you publish it later, then they can trespass you from city hall from that point on. And it's just unfortunately not that simple, and you got to deal with all the nuance.
Okay, cool.
No, that's
right here.
No. So the way we're
Okay,
all right, whatever.
no, go ahead, you're right.
So the way it works is there has to be some sort of policy in place that defines what you can and can't do on that property. And that policy, if you violate that policy, then you may lose some of your substantive due process rights to be on public property. So if you're there, you may or may not have business there, but that doesn't necessarily in and of itself mean that you can be trespassed. Like, for example, City Park is government property. Can you be trespassed from there if you have business there? The point of a park is to loiter. So
But that's a traditional public forum. We're talking about.
we're not even talking about expression right now. You're jumping to First Amendment. You're conflating a property access where you trespass someone with the First Amendment. Now, the First Amendment comes into play sometimes, but you have to start off with a fucking start, and you jump. You miss steps. You got this thing in your head. You got this thing in your head about the First Amendment. You understand little bits and pieces of it, but you don't understand all the steps. Can you be trespassed? Sure. But you can only be trespassed because you have a substantive due process right to be there. You can only be trespassed for public property if you do something that violates a policy. You have to basically give up your right to be there by violating a policy.
I just want to point out, someone had mentioned earlier in a comment section or something that they weren't sure whether or not like I was actually on these cases, where they actually understood them. I want to point out that where you're seeing me right there is 2 tall boys of beer deep,
Blue Moon.
In my-
Lady
in my
Jess.
underwear after working a full day in my garage, half-ass listening to this guy while I'm reading comments. So I don't know. Does it sound like I have a baseline understanding of these cases? I hope it does.
If there's a policy against filming, and you're filming,
We're talking about the places where there are. Obviously, not talking about the places where you're allowed to film. Come on, we're past that. We're clearly talking about the places where it's prohibited or restricted. Stick there. Well, I agree with you about the traditional public film stuff, and if the policy allowed, they can do it. I get all that. I agree with you on that.
you don't fucking get all that. That's my point. You think you get it, but you don't follow the steps. The next step is to figure out if there is some sort of a policy against filming on that property. If there is some other rule against filming that is a blanket rule, like let's say 18 U.S.C. 795, then you're not going to go into a forum analysis. But let's just say that it is a forum analysis. Let's just say that it is a policy that affects that property.
So is it better if there's not law? I mean, obviously the best case scenario would be there is case law supporting this, whatever I'm petitioning to the court or whatever it's called. Or is it better to have nothing? Like nothing said I couldn't. Or is it better to have this law, even persuasive? I don't know, whatever degree says you can't. One thing says you can, but it's not Supreme Court.
So the thing that says you can't would be the ordinance or policy or regulation that's governing it. That's the thing that says you can't. The question is then whether or not that thing is constitutional, at least, and it could be unconstitutional in one of 2 ways. Either on its face, it could be facially unconstitutional, meaning that just as it's written, it's unconstitutional. The second way it can be unconstitutional is as applied. And so what you do is when you're going to the court, you're saying that this is either unconstitutional on its face or unconstitutional as applied, or both. And is it better to have some sort of precedent saying it is or it isn't? Well, obviously it's really bad for you if there's precedent saying that it isn't.
But but if there's nothing at all saying that there isn't, but maybe policy or something like that. But there's nothing that's saying, there's no precedents at all saying you can't. In this specific location, I know it's just so super vague, but there's nothing, no court precedent or case law or anything saying you can't. Is it better? What would you like to go in with more? Would you rather go in with something like one case or slight bit of precedent, but it's like but let's say it's not persuasive, right? Or with nothing, no precedent, but no precedent saying you can't. I might have twisted that around a bit. Sorry if I can read.
You said a lot of words, and I understand individually what each word means.
Gotcha.
But the way you put them together, I have no idea.
Space, my friend. Space. Okay. Would you rather go in to a case with case law that's well, I guess it would be precedent if there's really no other, but mildly supported, but case law at the highest is persuasive. Is it only in a position of being persuasive to your case, right? Or would you rather go in with nothing on the books saying you can't or your client can't?
So the case law won't say you can't. The case law will say that a particular ordinance in a particular building or a particular regulation in a particular building is or isn't constitutional. So
here, I'm sorry. Take it out of auditor. I'm sorry. Take it out of the auditor for a second and just think of, I just meant it more for you. Would you rather go in with a weak, I think is probably the best way to say it, a weak, yes, you can, from at best a decision that's persuasive to your case, or would you rather go in with a strong absolute, there's nothing saying you can't? Like a weak yes, no. A weak yes, no.
A weak yes would be better than no, but a no is fine too, because a no means you could look to other circuits and other district courts for a weak yes. So there is no.
Well, and that's what I'm saying though. But like, say at best, the only thing you can find a whole bunch of shit maybe underneath it, but the most senior case law that you can find for your defense is only is persuasive. It's only at the persuasive level.
Okay.
No matter how much you've gone through and everything, it's that novel. That's the kind of thing I'm like.
Okay. So
I just meant as an advantage. Forget about the auditors. I meant like you as a lawyer, if you're going in, what would you want?
Right. So you said I'd be the defense, which means I'm hourly. So I would want to have no case so that I could spend more time fleshing out a new novel argument, which would be more billable hours, which would make me richer. And then I could join Benjamin Wish's company and bilk people
buy a new beach house,
like $30,000 a month. That's what I would like to do.
Or you could be employed by stout pro se litigation, and really get your street credit. You could learn to G-check people.
That's pretty prestigious, I have to say.
Yeah.
Well, that's the other piece of this is I don't get why, and I'm not saying to discredit anything. Like why wouldn't, I think he would be better off if he had a channel that's like, let's learn the law together. You know what I mean? Instead of like, this is what I know, and I'm going to shove it on you. Like, it should be more like, hey, let's talk through this together and learn together. You know what I mean? I don't understand why people are taking it as such gospel, I guess.
You mean Mark Stout's version or mine?
No, Mark Stout's version.
This is the law.
No, Mark Stout's version.
Okay.
No,
that's what I'm saying. Oh, I'm sorry, Mark. I meant, yeah.
I mean, I don't really take anything as gospel as far as this goes, because I understand that, like, I feel like in my layman's understanding that the law is a constant conversation, and that's why we have courtrooms, because if all these things were very, very clearly and definitively and permanently established, then we wouldn't really need to draft arguments, right? It would just be, like it would be Mark Stoutland, where it's like, oh no, you were recording in a post office and you can't do that.
Well, and that's what I mean. I guess it should have been more clear. It's like, why would anybody take the word of take as gospel the legal I won't even say advice to not get him in trouble or anything. The legal presentation as fact from a guy who has no experience in it. That's what I meant. That's what I meant. Like
Confirmation
but
bias, because
Yeah,
he's
it
arguing
is,
for a
'cause-
point that they want.
that they
to
want.
believe. Like,
Yeah.
you know, and people get very upset with me. And again, I only go by my layman's understanding of things. I don't purport to be an expert on the law or even someone who is mildly educated, right? But I refuse to bend reality and my own perception to cater to the opinions of the people who happen to be on my YouTube page at any given day, right? Which means, you know, for me, it's mostly, you know, if we're really looking at whether or not someone is a scammer, because that tends to be sort of the focus there. There have been times when I have exhaustively researched it and talked to people and looked at things and consulted with people who know more things than me and come back and said, I just don't see it, right? And how dare you? That's what we were expecting, right? But, you know, if you're willing to do that, if you're willing to, you know, bend reality and oversimplify things and just continue to parrot back what people want to hear, you're a fucking hero. It's scary to think about the way that misinformation just spreads like wildfire.
I know we would I was in a position to weaponize it. And I just didn't realize how, in my previous job, I just didn't expect so many dumb people, I guess, when I got out into the world. It just seemed to me that I would figure it would be an aberration to know somebody who took law advice from a non-lawyer in any situation. To me, I would feel like I would want that to be more of the aberration, you know, the kind of, but no, it seems like, no, it's actually the opposite.
Lawyers are expensive. You know, I don't feel like you have a lot of Fortune 500 CEOs that are getting taken advantage of this. I think it's a mixture of desperation. I won't say low IQ because I don't look at, but you know, ignorance. And again, that desperate need for confirmation. You want to hear from someone, particularly with a legal issue, especially if the stakes are getting higher and higher. Yes, your case is wonderful. You're right, and you're in the right, and I vindicate you, and we're going to win this. And a good attorney will not always tell you that, you know, because they're going to be mostly honest, somewhat honest, you know.
Well, I would just trust
pragmatic.
I'm gonna break in. I'm gonna break in here for a minute. You two, with your little love fest. The issue is that you have to remember that even if the law is settled, you have two things going on in any case. You have the facts and the law. So the law being settled, a lot of times the law is settled, and that's fine. That's wonderful. But the part a lawyer plays into it is figuring out the facts and making sure that the facts go to the correct law, trying to push this into, well, this does work for this or this doesn't work for this because these are the facts, emphasizing those facts, proving those facts, disproving those facts. So in all of these things, even if the law is settled, you still have to deal with the facts. And that's another issue that our friend Mr. Stout had, is that he couldn't separate those two things and figure out that just because the Punta Gorda City Hall had that particular statute or that particular ordinance and those particular sets of facts doesn't mean that every other city hall is going to have exactly the same layout, exactly the same ordinance, exactly the same state laws surrounding it, etc. Now, I'm sorry for breaking in. Please continue.
No, you're good. All of this is super.
We're building a love connection, so I'm
no, all of this is great. I mean, because it's interesting to go through. Anyway, we can keep going. I think.
All right.
Let's just get the form, just so that it makes it easier for you. The next step is you have to figure out what kind of form it is. That's the next step. And
we're past that. I already know. I know.
So now let's figure out what kind of form it is.
But we already debated that. Listen, we already went back and forth about that in our video. Listen, let's start.
Yeah, but we're not all right. We agreed to start the discussion.
We agreed to discuss. Where did I agree to start a discussion here? I came in. I basically let you pick. You wanted to start off with this thing, fine, whatever. I don't really care. But I'm going to say the things I want to say. How about that? Because
Cock McLongerballs says you can't change facts. If you have a good enough attorney, you can. You can.
Because you want to talk about it. Let's start off with the form analysis. The next step in the test is to figure out what kind of form.
You said now you're moving the goalposts. You said I can start where I want to.
Pobrecito.
He doesn't understand what moving the goalpost is, by the way.
I know. I was about to say that.
Why is everybody glossing over Like, you want to talk about rude? This man asks a question and then immediately cuts it off, tries to completely derail the conversation, says, I didn't agree to talk about this. We already talked about this. And then, continues to just interrupt. Like, I mean, I see rudeness here. I see smugness, sure, but I see straight up rudeness. I mean, like, Scott was not an angel here. I saw somebody of your comments earlier too, like, well, now you're talking like a gentleman, Merv. Why couldn't you? Because you're not talking to an asshole anymore. That's what that is.
Well, because emotional intelligence is being able to read the fucking room and apply the necessary attitude. He came in unable to do that at all. I don't even know that I would go. I mean, maybe just because my friends break balls so goddamn much. I don't know I would go into any conversation I go in with certain people. I just assume ball breaking or whatever, like a little razzing or whatever it is going to take place. And then I don't know. I feel like this would be the exact place you would to go on a Kate's channel to debate Merv. I don't know how you could expect anything other. I thought that was light. I thought you were easy on it.
I think me laughing at that my laughter was perceived as rude. I literally couldn't help it though. He was fucking unintentionally. He was fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
The next step is to figure out what kind of form. And in order to figure out what kind of form, you have to present facts to the court. And it might be something simple like we're in an airport. We're literally in an airport terminal. And from that, the court can determine that it is a non-public forum. But it might be more complicated. You might be on a public sidewalk that leads up to an airport. There might be some sort of analysis the court's going to have to go through. Once you figure out the form, the next step is to apply the rule for that form. So now go ahead.
Why not just read the case? All right.
Because I can't read the case. It's too small on my screen.
Yeah, if you could enlarge it, I'm getting that in the chat too, honestly.
Is that better?
Yes, I'm old. Thank you.
I'm sorry. Okay. It follows that the government has the right. It follows that the government has the right to exercise control over access to the government workplace in order to avoid interruptions to the performance of the duties of its employees. The ordinance places reasonable restrictions on recording at City Hall given its purpose and context. So there's the court saying that City Hall decides what its purpose is in the context of its business. The purpose of City Hall is
no, you missed the language. It's reasonable.
Business.
Reasonable was the operative language.
And they follow it up with
reasonable.
It is reasonable. They say the ordinance the restriction is reasonable because the purpose of City Hall is to.
It doesn't say that. You're adding language.
No, it says it right here. Based on the ordinance places reasonable restrictions on recording at City Hall given its purpose and context. The
Right,
purpose
that's
of
the
City Hall
language.
is to conduct legitimate public business, and then it cites the Punta Gorda ordinance.
Okay.
Now, so
you think this is a huge win, but Punta Gorda is literally one of the two litigants in this. Just because Punta Gorda said it, that's like, well, the defendant said it was a limited public forum. Therefore, the court has to go with it. No, the court said in there that the parties agreed that it was a limited public forum. And so it's doing the rational basis review, which is the reasonable. And there you go. It's got to be reasonable, viewpoint neutral. Ta-da! Magic. But it's because the parties agreed it was a limited public forum. Now, could the court have gotten to this is a limited public forum based on the facts that each side presented? Sure. But the court would have to have facts presented by each side to make that determination.
Hey, so
where's this? I was trying to find.
it said preliminary injunction. Oh, is it just this is already settled though?
So this opinion was based on a motion that Sheets filed for a preliminary injunction. So he was suing him. I'm assuming for declaratory and injunctive relief, maybe also for monetary damages. But he wanted to be able to continue to film inside City Hall while this was going on. So preliminary injunction, you have to show that you have a likelihood of success on the merits. You have to show that there'd be some damage to you if you didn't get it during the whole thing. Blah blah blah. I forget all the specifics of it, but that's what the court is looking at when the court is rendering this opinion. So you do have to bear that in mind. If you're not applying the same language to a preliminary injunction motion, then you might be misled slightly. But
that's why I'm
overall,
asking for clarification on the clarification on what that is, because when it said that, so the case is still ongoing. Oh, okay, yeah, that's kind of what I was. That's what I was wondering. It felt because it feels like, oh, well, wait, hold on, this is just a preliminary injunction, which means something, but you know,
overall, still the rationale the court uses, the legal reasoning the court uses is pretty solid. And I made a video on this when it was first published because it does tend to walk people down the steps of what the court is going to look at least in this particular case with this particular set of facts where there's an ordinance against filming in a city hall. So it's not like I'm going to apply this to every fact pattern, but it's good to get an idea of how the court's going to look at this kind of case.
Gotcha. Okay.
Do you have a counterpoint to that?
Yeah, no, I absolutely do, because in this case, I have to make it smaller. I'm sorry, just for a moment, I'll blow it back.
Yeah, I absolutely do. And then he never comes back with it.
Yeah, I feel like that happened a bunch.
Yeah, it did.
Oh yeah, okay, so here we go. I already had it highlighted. So here's the court saying, listen, the ordinance restricts recording within City Hall without the consent of those being recorded. The court is saying the ordinance defines what individuals may or may not do. They're saying that. They're saying an ordinance may do that. A policy may do that. And then it goes, and it not only does the court cite that language, it also cites the statute. The court is saying that this ordinance supports that argument and that this ordinance is a source of authority for that argument. Okay?
Well,
That is just so stupid.
Okay. Walk me through real quick why that's stupid. Because it felt like, to me, like the logic was pretty decent.
Are you attacking Merv right now? Because I just know, I'm sorry, you're just asking a lot of questions.
Yeah, right.
So I'm just going by the rules as they've been written. I feel like
Exactly.
you may be attacking Merv. If so, please apologize genuinely.
Are you laughing? Are you laughing?
No.
You're not allowed to laugh. That's also rude, sir.
No fun. No fun at all.
Basically, what he's doing is he's using what the city said. He does it a couple times. He uses what the city says as some sort of like, the court noted that the city said it, so like it's super important. The city is the fucking defendant. Okay,
yeah.
So like, yeah, all right, it's not contested, and yeah, the city did say it, but like, if the city was wrong, the court would be like, oh hey, despite the fact that the city said this, the city's wrong. You know, so him picking that out as some like great win is just a little weird.
Gotcha.
I
thought it was from the court. I didn't understand that this was what the defense. Gotcha. Okay. Totally makes sense. Tracking.
See how the court is citing the various documents, like, oh yeah, the city hall had this particular ordinance in place, and this is what it said, and this is what they were enforcing. So yeah, but it's basically the court is just looking, yes, this is what the defendant is saying that they're doing.
Yeah, gotcha.
For that?
Yeah.
Can you unpack what you just tried to say there? So that talking like with fifth graders, I have no idea what you're trying to say.
Missing this.
Yeah, so I'm like, hey, can you explain this? And he's like, yeah, and then he doesn't.
Are you gonna?
Oh, listen. All right. So listen. All right. I haven't found what I was looking for, but let's touch on his limited public forum because it landed on the. So okay, right here, the government chooses how wide to swing open the gate of a limited public forum. It may allow access only to certain speakers based on their identity. A speaker may be excluded if he is not a member of the class of speakers for whose a special benefit the forum was created. So if the forum is created to conduct legitimate public business, and you're not a member of that class, then you can be excluded. A restriction need not be the most reasonable or the only reasonable limitation.
I'm sorry to cut you off there, but I just wanted. So he just asked you to unpack your previous statement. Are you planning to do so? There's no she moved on.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, here it is. I found it. In one sentence. Likewise, a government workplace, like any place of employment, exists to accomplish the business of the employer. The business of the employer. A government workplace, business of the employer. That means the employer's business, not the.
He is so excited to find that. I was just like, this is fucking Adelaide, Florida. Like, what are we debating? Like,
that was just weird. He picks out points like that a bunch, and it was like right there. Like, what is that?
I'm not saying that that's wrong. I'm saying, what about the situations where you're there on the government's business? Like if you're there to do some transaction with the city clerk, what about that? You're there to do that business. I don't understand.
Frauder's business or the business that the frauder wants the employer to have, but the employer's business, okay? The purpose of City Hall is to conduct legitimate public business. There it is again. So yeah, it's right here. A government workplace, like any other place of employment, exists to accomplish the business of the employer. That's the court saying it exists.
He's so happy you found that.
The government to conduct.
Yeah, he loves stuck on that.
And they go on to rule that the building custodians, look, the ordinance is a source of authority. They're saying that. They're saying an ordinance can accomplish the business of the can do that. Okay, then an ordinance can be the source of authority to restrict or prohibit filming. And then they go to City Hall.
That is crazy logic.
Restrict recording, right? So here they say City Hall, ordinance can restrict.
Right? Right, but it's weird logic. It's like a lot of analytical leaps.
He's picking out pieces that the court used to support its decision. And then he's like, yeah, this is it. We win every time, all the time. And he reads it like with that weird tonality too. Like,
yeah.
This is so mine. Like, look at this. This is amazing. Look at this language. Oh my God.
It's a whisper.
It is. And I can't stand the way he says Punta Gorda. I'm like, stop saying it. For some reason, I don't know. Punta Gorda, folks. Punta Gorda.
I had a bunch of comments telling me that I was saying Punta Gorda wrong. It was supposed to be like Punta Gorda or something like that. Yeah, sorry, it's Punta Gorda.
Right? So the source of authority can be the building custodian. Back to my original argument. This case establishes that government building custodians may trespass individuals who don't have business to conduct. A workplace exists to accomplish the business of the employer. The ordinance places reasonable restrictions on recording at City Hall, given City Hall's purpose and context. And who defines what that purpose and context is? City Hall. And how do they do that? Through an ordinance. That's my argument.
That's a great argument.
That's my argument. Okay.
I know.
Ah.
How would in any way, where is the leap that therefore any city hall anywhere? I don't, how, what was that argument?
But I'm like, how am I supposed to argue against this? Like you just read part of an opinion.
Read it,
like
and highlighted.
Are we going to apply it to something? Like,
right.
Or are we
There's
gonna,
no.
What's the argument going to be over? Did the opinion say this? Yes. Now what? There is no now what? Okay. Kate was probably falling asleep naked in her chair during that time.
Argument. About a year ago, I actually did a video on this case, and believe it or not, I came to exactly the same conclusions as you because it's established case law that just like Adelaide, just like every other limited and non-public forum, the government can control the use of the property for its lawfully intended purpose. Congratulations.
Will D finger do? So apparently, we've got a Turtle Boy aficionado in here. I have changed my opinion on Turtle Boy, by the way. I really tried to like him. I just want to be very clear about this. My default position is to like people, and I don't like him anymore. And I'm just going to say that, I don't care about his feud with Kate. His breasts aren't as nice as Kate's. But I don't care about his feud with Kate. It's just really irritating. All the weak ass shit. It's just weak shit that he pulls constantly, bringing her kids into it, bringing like who the fuck cares about her boyfriend? Like, what does that have to do with shit?
It's vile.
Whatever. Who fucking cares?
Yeah. Why? I can't and again, taking away because I have the this thing with Kate, but it just is the way you operate as a person. Why in the fuck would you operate that way? It's like, well, okay, so what?
I'm not saying that reports and facts lie. I'm saying that no one should care. Like if she's having some dispute with her boyfriend or whatever, who fuck, that's between her and him. Like this isn't like national news. She's not putting it out there. If she's not putting it out there, why is anybody else putting it out there? Why does it matter who she's sleeping with or not sleeping with? Why does it matter what his criminal record is or isn't? Why does it matter to you? Why can't you let these people have some semblance of privacy to resolve their issues, to get through this, whatever it is they're going through? Instead, you gotta like dredge it out. Like who fucking cares? I don't know if Kate makes videos about Turtle Boy's private life. I've heard from Turtle Boy she does. And if she does, then that's pretty vile and reprehensible too. But I don't see it. But what I do see all the fucking time is Turtle Boy going on and on about Kate's private life. Let her have a fucking private life, for fuck's sake.
And for I don't even understand what it adds. What does this even add to that? Like say you are involved in, there you have some money in the pot on the Kate Turtle Boy thing, right? What is saying anything of private about that guy? What does that bring to the table? What does that add? What is that? I mean, you're just doing vile shit, man. Yeah. You're just doing vile fucking shit that a fucking grown ass goddamn man shouldn't be fucking doing.
It's
bullshit, man. I hate like you get fires me up, man.
About the kids are in current danger and you don't care. What the fuck is putting it on the internet going to do? Like, how do you think you're helping at all?
They're not. This conversation is getting a little bit much right now.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
All right.
So anyway, we've been going for like 2.5 hours, and I do apologize for the way this went. But but it doesn't help anybody. Trying to use these kids as shields when you're using them as swords is pretty.
It is
shitty.
gross.
It's gross.
Absolutely. It's fucking gross, and you cause fucking real ass trauma to kids. It's not fucking clout. It's not what you end up with. The long lasting fucking thing out of this, Aiden, the way you're fucking acting, man, is trauma to those fucking kids. And for what? And for what? I mean, for literally for what? It's such a piece of shit thing that I mean, first of all, the whole goddamn feud is ridiculous. I don't mean, I'm just not saying how it started and everything. And I understand it's going, and feuds are fun sometimes. I don't understand Aiden as a fucking goddamn grown up, man. How? You have kids of your own. It's so just fucking just painful to me.
The thing with him trying to follow Kate to her car to get his news scoop, whatever, that's fine. Like I have whatever,
right?
She's
that's part of the whole.
She's in public. She's an adult. He's an adult. Whatever. But once you move beyond that, like anyway. All right. So at this point,
up, man. I just don't like the kids thing. So
I think we're going to leave it on a low note. I appreciate Kate stopping by. Appreciate you stopping by, Stone Vet.
Of course.
We'll have to do this again. I think I'm going to be a little bit more judicious on the things I respond to in the comments. I have to put them up randomly. And with that, have a great day.
All right. Later, Kate. See you.